after a short break. When last we left our heroes, they were on the island of Emerald, exploring the leafy bowers of the Dolmen Wood. They had just cleared out some sort of strange tree-like creature from the ruined Abbey of St. Clwyd and made the acquaintance of a young cleric. Unfortunately, they ran into a beastman warband and the young cleric was killed. But they made the acquaintance of a Droon, one of the strange druid-like sect who inhabit the Dolmen Wood, going by the name of Shantak. And they learned about the passage of a shooting star that had apparently passed overhead in the direction of the village of Drigbolton a few days before they had arrived on Emerald. Currently, they are making their way along one of the old dirt path roads through Dolmen Wood towards Drigbolton. So, hopefully you guys are all on Roll20 and you can see the map. We have our normal motley assortment of heroes: Friar Dunstern, Big Mick, Jackdaw and Lieutenant Uffington. So, they're currently making their way through the Dolmen Wood, as you can see from the map. So, from what you've been told by Shantak the Droon, the journey towards Drigbolton is going to take around about 5 days. He's recommended that you travel northwest on the old Fort Road that you're currently walking along for 2 days, and then after that you leave the road and you head north for 3 days, and that should put you in the vicinity of Drigbolton. Is there anything you guys wish to do or wish to discuss as you're travelling?
What can you tell us about the fort, Shantak?
Shantak looks thoughtful for a few moments, scratches his chin and then says, "Well, I can't tell you a great deal about it. My kind, although we have been in these woods for many, many years, we are often somewhat less than welcome in such places. From what I've heard, though, Fort Vulgar is a fort populated mainly by mercenaries. There is I don't know exactly how it was founded. I believe it once used to be owned by the Duchy of Brackenwald, but over the recent years it has become mainly a haven for mercenaries and sellswords who can make, I understand, a reasonable living in the Dolmen Wood, hiring themselves out to protect caravans, travellers and the like. If you're looking to hire some people for your band, then that might be a good stop for you. As I've said, my kind are not particularly welcome though."
Okay. Well, perhaps we can call back when we are finished in Drigbolton. But for now, I think maybe we should give it a wide berth.
Since we're going to be travelling through what some people refer to as the Nagalords, and he makes like an extremely distasteful expression and spits on the ground, the Nagalords' domain. It may cause you more problems if I am visibly with you. However, and as he's speaking, you notice that a wind appears to have arisen from nowhere, and it's like whipping dust and small twigs and leaves up off the ground, sort of swirling them around him. However, he says, his voice echoing out from this cloud of dust as you lose sight of him, "I will be nearby should you need me." And as this dust cloud suddenly dies down, you see what appears to be a small hawk of some kind flapping its wings amidst the area where Shantak was standing. It lets out a loud cawing cry and soars upwards into the air, where it is lost from sight. Of the Droon there is no sign.
Blimey, that's not something you see every day.
I wonder would he show us how to do that? That would be an interesting skill to have.
That would be an interesting skill to have, for sure.
As if in answer to your discussion, you hear far distant up in the air the cawing cry of this sparrowhawk-like bird. And as you look up, the keener sighted amongst you can just about make out a small black speck circling around high up in the air.
John, can you tell us what we learned about the Naglord the last time? Sorry,
I can indeed.
My notes are all over the place.
Obviously, what you have found out is coloured by the fact that it was a Droon telling you a lot of this. And obviously, you've worked out no love is lost between the Naglord and the Droon as a sect. Apparently, it's a creature that is regarded almost as a deity by the tribes of beastmen who inhabit the Dolmen Wood. Although in your conversations with Shantak, you got the feeling that it's actually like a creature. It's not just like, oh, it's a god somewhere in the heavens. It's actually a creature that exists in the Dolmen Wood. But he seemed to regard it as an immensely powerful but corruptive influence on these energy flows he talked about that run through the Dolmen Wood. But apparently many of the Beastmen tribes regard it almost as a god.
Okay.
It's also referred to as a Tunwi or the Many-Legged.
Okay. And then just on the map then, its land is it all of this area, or is it marked on the map, or is it, do we know?
It's not marked specifically on the map. Shantak will have told you that the area to the west of the river, so sort of in this direction, sort of beyond the river, is regarded as the Nagalord's domain. However, beastmen have been encountered in this sort of area around Fort Vulgar.
Okay. Okay. So guys, should we head northwest, or do we want to go directly north, or what do we think?
Are we not just going to follow the trail? Did you want to go off and find your own way then?
No, I think we should follow what the Droon suggested. He seems like a trustworthy fellow.
Yes. Yeah, he would know the ways best anyway.
Okay, so you guys travel northwest for about 3 days on the Fort Road. You'll each need to deduct 3 rations from your stash. So obviously you're eating as you travel. Obviously, if you haven't got enough, you can hunt. That's certainly a possibility.
What kind of role would that be, John?
Okay, wow. That's mostly going to be a wisdom-based role, because obviously it's relying on your sort of knowledge of nature and common sense and stuff
Perception.
like that. Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's a perception-derived role.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I am middling at best. Not that. So, but
I can try and hunt. I have some if people are... Sorry, I say some. I have... If it's been 3 days, I have 3 to spare. But we can maybe take a day and try and do some hunting and see if we can build up our stack. Or we can get our meager stack to get us all the way to Fort Vulgar and buy more.
Yeah, I suppose it wouldn't hurt to... Yeah, I would suggest maybe someone hunts each evening, or rather morning. And,
okay. So on the first day of travel, you'll need to eat 4 rations worth of food, like 1 for each of you. So if one of you wants to hunt on the first day, it'll be a wisdom roll.
I'll do that.
Okay.
Ooh, 19.
Okay, roll me a d6. Okay, so you managed to get you have like an astoundingly good time of the hunting. You managed to get 6 days worth of rations, like worth of food.
Okay. Nice.
So on the second day's travel, you will need to spend another 4 rations.
Okay. So does anyone else have any?
I don't.
I can't find any on my sheet, so no.
I've got rations.
But we know who's doing the hunting. Not the father.
Okay, so are you going to deduct 4 rations from your hunted meat? Is that what you're doing, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so on the second day, you'll need to hunt again, so make your wisdom roll.
Oh, not quite.
Okay, so on the second day, despite spending a lot of time trying to hunt, you don't manage to gain any rations worth of food. So the 4 rations for the second day will need to be deducted from whatever stock you have.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, and on the third day, if you wish to hunt again.
Yes, please.
Roll a d6.
4.
So you get 4 days worth of food via your hunting.
Okay.
Okay, so you need to deduct 4 for the third day. And on the third day, you can see just across a small stream the imposing granite edifice that is Fort Vulgar. It's a large grey stone square-like fortification. You can see, the only thing that really strikes your notice about it is from the outside of the building there's lots of different pennants with different symbols on them hanging down from the walls.
Okay.
None of the symbols particularly mean anything to you, but you can also see outside the fortification there are numerous like small sort of, I suppose, huts and stalls set out. You can see people doing like blacksmithery and all the various jobs you would associate that are needed to support a fortification full of mercenaries. So you can hear like the hammering of metal, the pump of bellows. You can see people like carrying baskets of food around.
Okay. And is Gregor still with us, is he?
Gregor is indeed still with you.
Okay. So I suggest that he needs armor and a weapon since we're here. And also we only have like 4 days of food left. So it feels like we should buy more food rather than taking a risk on the hunting, which has been so far.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. So, most of the stuff you can buy out of the player's handbook equipment can be purchased here for the standard cost, pretty much. Okay. So it's up to you guys what you want to buy. A day's worth of rations will cost you 5 silver pieces per day's worth.
Okay. So we want enough for 6 days?
You know, according to Shantak, it's going to be 3 days travel to the north from here to get to Drigbolton, or the surrounding area where Drigbolton is.
Now, John, how about selling stuff? Are they bartering? Are they buying anything in this place?
There seems to be a ready market for any sort of tools of war, basically. So, armor, weapons, stuff like that, they'll quite happily buy that from you.
How about...
If it's anything a bit more outre, obviously we'll have to consider it on an individual basis.
I was thinking about the... the small violet opal that we got from shanking some of the beastmen, I think.
Yep, you can certainly sell that. Someone will quite happily have that off you.
Yep. I do not know the value of that. But...
Oh, okay. Let me just have a quick look through my notes.
And And of course, I'm entirely happy with us just pulling something out of thin air, because I cannot appraise gems, and I think like forest mercenaries might not be able to either.
Well, yeah, there is that. Let me just have a quick look.
I think all told, it all came to 1,215. All of the whatever we collected. That's what I have here.
Yeah, I don't think this was a part of that. I think this might have been me foraging in corpses separately.
Okay,
because
so
I didn't write down any numbers. Yeah.
So I'm going to say that after a bit of asking around, someone offers you 150 gold pieces for the opal.
Okay, I will take that. So good. Yeah, I think that was a separate thing with me at some point, being like just doing the thing on my own.
It was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you notice that it's one of the armourers who actually offers you that, and that's quite a large amount of money for an armourer to have. So you can judge from that like he must be doing a pretty good trade. And as you're sort of looking at his shop as sort of a stall, and as he's chatting to you, this armourer tells you that he's actually got like a permanent sort of residence in the fort, but because he get a lot of people passing by wanting to hire people, he puts like the best of his wares. You can see he's got armour, weapons, etc., horseshoes, pretty much anything you could want. It tells you that he puts his wares out the front so that when people come by looking to hire mercenaries, if they want to equip them, he wants his stall to be the first one they see.
Yeah.
And he says because he gets quite a lot of people from like Brackenwold and Harrowmore coming down. Some of the nobles like a slightly fancier suit of armour. So he says this opal will be just the job to like fit into one of the slightly fancier suits of armour that he makes.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems he has his business on lock. There's it's like a one-stop shop for good times. Okay. I think I buy a new rope. I think I bought a new rope in the last village.
Did, yeah.
To replenish mine from the previous couple, yeah.
Okay, so Friar, what sort of armour are you buying for Gregor?
I am going to buy him a full chain suit for 200 gold pieces.
Okay.
And a large two-handed sword for 30 gold pieces for two.
Okay,
chain
suit. I'm just adding these to his character sheet. Two-handed sword, okay. Okay, so a full chain suit. That will take his armour class up to 16. And let me see, two-handed sword. Bum, 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 bum. 200, so just 2d6 damage. Okay. Plus his strength modifier. Okay, sorted. Gregor shows his appreciation in his normal dour sort of way. He mumbles a few words of thanks in his halting common and nods.
I'm also going to buy 6 days worth of food for the 6 of us. And I already have a pony and a cart, so I'll just put the rations in the cart so I don't have to carry it.
Absolutely fine.
I think that's probably everything we need, unless we want to have a drink and meet the locals.
I could do with a shield, I think. I don't possess a shield. Do you have the price list there, Friar?
Well, they
do indeed.
There's plenty of shields on offer. A large steel shield would set you back 20 gold pieces.
And Is that a +1 defence?
That's a +1 AC, but you only get it. You get it again because it's a large shield. You get that AC bonus against 3 opponents in combat. If you buy a smaller shield, you get a similar AC bonus, but you get it against less people because you can only cover so much area.
Yeah, I don't want to be walking around with like a tower shield, so I'll just get the regular.
Okay, so
somewhere between a buckler and a round shield, that sort of size.
well, you could go for a medium steel shield. That would be 15 gold pieces, and it would get you a +1 AC against 2 foes in combat.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, thank you. Oh, have one of those, please.
Okay, so the same armour smith who's just been like talking with Jackdaw about this opal, he's like, oh, excuse me, mate. And he says, oh yes, sir, of course you won't find a finer shield this side of the Great Lake. And he gestures at the nearby huge expanse of water. And he says, but please try it on for weight. You'll find it's perfectly balanced.
Yeah, I'll try it on for weight.
You give it a little try. It's plain. It has no sort of symbol or embossing on it. It's just plain with like rivets. But yeah, it feels. Obviously, there's a bit of weight to it because it's made of metal. But it feels. You think you can carry it for a reasonable amount of time, and obviously you can sling it on your back when you're walking.
That'll do the job nicely. Shouldn't really attract attention with any embellishments.
He says that's 15 gold crowns to yourself, sir.
I shall dig in my pouch and produce 15 for him.
He takes the 15 crowns of him. Is that pleasure in business with you, sir?
Indeed. Thank you.
And he turns around to discuss some stuff with other people.
Oh. Well, let's go for a drink.
Okay, yeah, so you guys spend the evening in Fort Vulgar. It's a pretty rowdy place, to be honest, because it appears to be run by and almost entirely populated by mercenaries and the people who support them. So it's full of like old, like scarred warriors, telling war stories. And when they're not on a job, they're pretty much just spending their money, like getting tanked. So as the evening falls, this place gets really rowdy. There's plenty of tents serving like booze and stuff like that. There's people like shouting and laughing, smashing flagons together. A few like minor sort of scuffles and brawls break out, but nothing too serious. Is there anything particularly you guys want to do while you're drinking for the evening, or are you just having a few drinks, getting a bit of shut-eye and then pressing on?
I think that's my intention. No, I don't want to start anything.
I wouldn't mind just chatting with the locals and seeing if anybody knows a little bit more about this Drigbolton place where we're headed.
Well, make me a charisma roll, Big Mick.
Hey. Boom.
Okay, obviously you don't need it, but just to remind you all as well, you all have your one use of the D30 for the session. Okay, so Big Mick, you're spending the evening drinking, making merry, and you get chatting to a fairly sort of brusque-looking fella by the name of Breglaw Lank. He's quite a big fellow. Looks like maybe he's a bit past his best. He's started to get a bit of the old middle-age spread on. He's got like a long moustache, and he's quite in his cups when you mentioned Drigbolton, and he's like, Drigbolton, you say? And he's like, oh, who do you go to that godforsaken place for?
Godforsaken? It's a bit grim, is it?
He says, oh, God, yes, it's grim. He says, oh, I doubt there's more than 30-odd people living there.
Oh, right. What is that then?
He leans over the table and he's slurring his words a bit because he's obviously a bit drunk. And he says, well, whole place was near on a starvation a few months ago. After last winter, the farming's terrible up there.
Oh, right. I've heard they've been eating some jelly or something. You heard about that?
He says, well, I've not been up that way recently myself, but I've heard rumours, people saying that the gods sent them salvation. Like I say, they were virtually starving to death last winter, given the cold and everything, but I don't know any more about it, but from what they say, the people around there are saying, well, they prayed to the gods to deliver them, and, well, they saw a light in the sky, and then manna from heaven, or whatever. Don't really believe a word of it myself, but something's obviously been going on there.
Yeah, well, myself and my companions there, we were going to take a look up there. It's on route. Just thought I'd try and find out a little bit about it. You know, who's in charge there? Do you know?
He says, "Oh, I think they've got like a village headsman or a lad up there. I don't know his name. I tell you what, though, you want to be a bit careful if you're going up there. Beastmen have been seen crossing the rivers to the north of here. You're going to be on the lookout. Dangerous buggers, them."
Yeah, I know all about them stinking beastmen. They're there's plenty of them round these parts, isn't there?
He says, I tell you what's worse than them. He says, don't get me wrong, they're foul, godforsaken creatures, the lot of them. But at least I can understand the ones who are just ravaging war bands. At least if they do the honesty of attacking you. I tell you what's worse than them. It's the ones to the west of the river, the ones that pretend like they're men. He says, they're the worst.
Pretend like they're men?
Wow, yes.
Is this anything to do with your nag lord, fella?
He says, you've heard that tall tale, have you?
Oh, it's a tall tale, is it?
He says, well, come on. Some 8-legged unicorn that lives in the forest and has got a beast, man.
I don't know, man. I've seen some pretty strange stuff in my time. I'm about ready to believe pretty much anything at this point.
It says, wow. It says, the villages to the west of here, like Lancashire and places like that. It says, well, they seem to get on all right with them. Seem to be a bit too friendly with them beastmen, if you know what I mean.
Unfortunately,
but you didn't hear it from me.
I think I might know just what you mean. I won't ponder that thought too much.
No, I shouldn't. Godless business. What are you, if you don't mind me asking, what are you ending up there for anyway?
I don't rightly remember now. I'm kind of tagging along, really. I've got far more accomplished companions that seem to know what they're doing.
It says,
the truth be known, I'm quite keen to get back to my new lady wife. However, I did say that.
You just got married, have you? Oh, congratulations! He said, "Yeah, bring us another beer," and he gets you all like a beer.
I'm getting into the farming game as it goes.
He's like, wow, and he chinks his flagon with the new one that he's just bought you, and he's like, wow, it's an honourable profession. He says, I tell you what, he says, and now I'm an old soldier through and through. He says, but wow, if I got a new lady wife, you wouldn't catch me trawling around places like Drigbolton.
No, that's right. I mean,
so what's up there that could drag you away from your marital bed?
Wow.
He says, well, if I had a good woman here.
Yeah, well, I ask myself the same question all the time. I don't know what I'm doing, but the curiosity just is a bit overwhelming. I think I've got a little bit of that maybe gypsy blood or something going on.
All right.
I find it a little bit difficult to settle.
Oh, well, takes all sorts.
Anyway, cheers. I'll leave you to it. Thanks for your advice.
No problems, fella, and congratulations on your recent nuptials.
Yeah, thank you very much.
If you're ever in the market, and he sort of gestures around at the many drunken soldiers in this sort of canvas pop-up tavern that you're in,
yeah,
just you give old Bregler a shout. He'll sort you out.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, well, you never know. We do get involved in all sorts of stuff.
He says, well, I suppose I should be grateful that Dolman Wood's so dangerous, really. I mean, after all, if it weren't, well,
it wouldn't be a lot of work, would there?
Yeah, exactly. Not for an old soldier like me. But you take care of yourself, fella. All the best to you. God be with you.
Yes. Cheers. And I shall sidle off back to my companions and report my findings.
No problems.
John, is there anyone around who looks kind of rangery or yeah, I guess rangery is the word I'm looking for.
Maybe a charisma roll.
That'll be the fella with the hood and the pipe with his legs crossed on the table in the corner.
So,
sorry, charisma, you said?
yes, that's correct. Okay, so it takes you a little while, but as you're looking around, you see a fairly young woman. She's wearing like rough woodsman's clothing. She has like an unstrung bow like over her arm. You can see she's got a pack next to her that she's like rummaging around in. Her clothing has that sort of like weather beaten sort of well-travelled look to it. You know, there's a bit of a dirt of the road on her, and she has like a few sort of like smudges of dirt on her. You can see her hair's sort of cropped quite short to her head. She's got like a few little minor scars, etc. And she appears to be over in one corner. She's just like ordered an ale, and she's pretty much sat by herself sort of nursing this ale and just like checking what's in her pack.
Okay, so I will kind of head over and kind of say, young lady,
she sort of looks behind her for a bit and then so, oh, right.
I hope you don't mind the intrusion. You look like a forest ranger, hunter, and I am in need of some advice. Can I buy you a drink and perhaps ask you some questions of the local area?
Well, she says, I wouldn't normally take a drink from someone I don't know, but yeah, I'm going to be staying here the night. I don't see the harm in it. Same again.
So I'll sit down then, across from her, not too close, and just say we're heading for Drigbolton, north of here.
Oh yeah.
And I've had a brief look at the map, and it kind of feels like traveling by boat might be the quickest way up to the bend in the river, and kind of heading west from there, and that might cut out any of the kind of the walking. Some of my friends, and I'll
says, well, you'll have a job travelling that way by river. You'll be going against the flow of the river.
Okay. So not to be recommended then.
Says, well, I dare say if you've got enough strong oarsmen, you could do it, but I don't know that it'd be any quicker. I mean, like you said, it might be a mite safer. I mean, if you stick to following the river, you should be okay. But well, things. Sorry, I can tell by your accent you're not from the Dolman Wood, but in case you're not aware, things have been getting a mite dangerous. Beastmen and all manner of creatures roaming the woods recently. It's one. I mean, normally I sleep out under the stars, but with how dangerous it's getting at the minute, I made for Fort Vulgar. It's one of the few safe havens.
Indeed, we have come across these beastmen, the large and the small.
She takes a pipe out and like puts a plug of tobacco in, and he says, "I presume you don't mind."
No, absolutely not. And tell me then, would you follow the river north by foot, or would you go directly north through the woods if you were going for Drigbolton?
If it were me, I'd follow the river. At least if anything does set on you there, you'll have a clear field of vision, whereas it's very easy for things to come upon you in the woods and take you by surprise if you're if you're not used to the environment. I mean, I've lived there all my life. I've spent all my life in the Dolmen Wood, and even there are times when animals and the like manage to get the drop on me. So,
Okay. And tell me, perchance, would you be available to hire as a guide to see us safely to Drigbolton?
yeah. How deep are your pockets, Father? She says questioningly, sort of looking at the
yes. Father Dunstan is my name, from over the sea.
Oh, well, I'm Blin Volgamore.
Blin Volgamore.
Don't worry about the surname. Everyone just calls me Blin.
Blin. Indeed. Well,
I don't stand on ceremony.
I would pay you 10 gold pieces to see us there and 10 more to see us back here, if that was suitable.
That's absolutely fine, as long as you only want me to guide you. I'm not getting mixed up in anything for 10 gold pieces.
No.
Sorry, Father. I don't mean to like rain on your parade, but obviously, if I was going to be asking to be risking my health, I'd want a bit more than that. But if you just want to guide, 10's fine.
How much to risk your life, dare I ask?
She says, well, we're looking at least 30 a day if you want me to wade in if anything goes a bit. Look, I'll tell you what. How about we stick with the 10 for now, and if I do have to wade into anything, you up it by 20. How's that sound?
Deal.
Okay. And she like spits in her hand and shakes hands.
Yeah. Cool. So we will leave first thing in the morning. And look forward to travelling with you.
Just to check, you've got enough food for the journey and everything like that. You've got your supplies and everything.
Yes.
If I had a gold crown for every time someone had set out from here and then had to turn back after a day or two because they'd not bought supplies, well, I wouldn't need to be accepting your commission.
Indeed. Well, yes. No, we stocked up. Recently armoured. Feeling confident. But just want to make sure we get there as quickly as possible, which is why we need a guide.
Okay, well, get you and your party all rested up for the evening, and I'll give you a shout first light and we'll head out.
Sounds good, Blaine. Thank you very much.
No worries. Okay, so does anyone else want to do anything over the course of the evening? You're all just getting some shut eye and setting out in the morning.
So, John, do you have a carousing table on hand?
I don't have one on hand, but I can probably find one with great rapidity.
Yeah, there's no worries. I just figured that if you had something to roll on, like I could put down some gold.
Give me but a moment, because I need to switch the light on anyway. So.
My money is on Broodmother Sky Fortress coming out here, the carousing table out of the back of that. That's my first guess. Oh, could I be right?
Okay, so carousing. So on this table I've got, you can choose. There are a number of different ways you can carouse, and those are philanthropy. You spend your gold on worthy social causes. Drinking/orgies speaks for itself. Study or research speaks for itself. Or gourmandizing, you spend gold seeking new things to eat, consume, or experience.
Let's do research.
Okay. So, roll a d8 and multiply it by 800, and that is the amount of gold spent.
Well, you was going to go for Broodmother Sky Fortress there, John, but you didn't.
I was, but I can't actually lay my hands on my copy of the book at the moment.
So, just to clarify, 1d8 times 800.
Although if you guys really want, I can go and try and dig out my Broodmother Sky Fortress.
Yeah, no problem. Like, I cannot afford this shit.
Well, hold on a second.
I've got it.
As long as you roll a 1, we're okay.
There we go. Because handily, I know that the carousing table is on Jeff Rient's website, so
It is indeed.
which is what I will look up. Okay.
Also, if I get into debt over like missed like book returns, I suppose I could go and shank the librarians.
Okay, well, what we'll do is we'll switch to the Jeff Rient carousing. So what you do with this is you just spend d6 times 100 gold pieces.
Yeah.
You then make a Constitution save. If you fail the Constitution save, some sort of mishap occurs.
Okay, yeah. So this is like going on a bender then.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. I will engage with that foolishness back in Great London. Then I do not have the money for this, and I don't want to do it here if it's that expensive. Unfortunately, our reserves have been drained. At least mine. Well, I suppose we bought a lot of nice stuff back in the place where you live now, Beckmick.
Yes, indeed.
So, John, another question, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
How much for my new friend, the armorer, to either modify my trusty club or make me a new one, and the addition being my bag of shark teeth that I took from the shark at sea?
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's have a look. But you're already giving him the stuff he needs to do it with, really.
I do have the materials.
He's pretty much just got to sort of like hammer these shark teeth into the club, really.
Yeah, make it make them stick somehow, maybe.
Okay, so I'm going to say that will only cost you 3 gold pieces.
Cool. Yeah. So we'll have it done then.
And that will give you an additional +1 damage to your club.
Yep. And it will be horrifying.
Okay.
So that's what we do over the night. I'm there with him, like, no, put it this way. Then the cost will be maximal.
Indeed. Yep. Okay, so the next morning, Blinn gives you all a shout to wake you up, and you set off for Drigbolton, following the river. Okay. After about 4 days travel, sorry, 3 days travel, so you're going to need to do 3 rations for each member of your party. Blinn will feed herself.
Okay.
Also, Rob, are you doing the quartermaster thing on this?
I am.
Yeah, cool. So I bought some rations so I can fill us up when there's need. So.
Cool, yeah.
Okay, so on the 3rd day's travel, you're just getting near to the river where you're like a shallows, a fjord where you're going to have to cross over. And Blinn's off hunting to like feed herself at the moment. Since it's a quiet moment, she's gone off to do some hunting. Can you please, Lieutenant Uffington, roll me a d4?
Indeed. D4. On its way.
Okay. So, Lieutenant Uffington, as you're all sort of making yourselves ready to cross the river, as you're sort of just wandering around, Lieutenant, you hear a soft voice that appears to be singing or perhaps chanting in a low, sonorous but quite beautiful melody coming from a little way to the north.
Can anyone hear that? Sounds like someone singing.
If you point it out to the rest of your companions and you sort of move to where the lieutenant is, you can hear it.
Is it a lady's voice?
It does appear to be a female voice, yeah.
Oh. Very nice.
Has it got like a fae vibe? Or a touch of the fairy? Or...
It's difficult to tell at the moment. There is something beautifully otherworldly in the notes. If you've heard in like the Lord of the Rings films, like the elves singing their laments to Gandalf, it's got very much that sort of vibe to it.
Hey. Oh yeah, right. Our guide would probably be a bit more au fait, but she's off to one side.
Well, it's a pleasant song, but we don't want to be distracted.
No, don't be hasty now. You know.
Are you perhaps going to travel a bit nearer to see if you can hear it a bit better, Big Mick?
Yeah, I'm keen to hear a little bit closer to that.
Okay, so you move a little bit closer, and there's this. You can see like there's one of the many small streams sort of coming out of the river. There's like a very rough made wooden bridge over it, and as you sort of peer through the trees, still well concealed from where you are, you can see what appears to be a jumble of large blocks of stone in this natural sort of gully that's been made. What catches your eye, however, is that hovering in the middle of this clearing is what appears to be a huge shard of ice, so like the size of like a standing stone floating in midair, and there is a young woman sort of knelt down in front of it, her hands clasped like this, and she's singing in possibly the most beautiful voice you've ever heard. Another thing that strikes your notice as you're taking in this scene is that everything for some small space around this floating shard of ice, this huge block of crystalline ice, appears to have like a slight sort of purple light playing about it, and the light appears to be coming from and refracting out of this floating shard of ice.
Is that light landing on this singing woman?
Indeed, it appears to be falling all around, the sort of motes of purple light, like dust in sunlight falling through the air. As it lands on her, it briefly winks brighter and then fades out of existence. It doesn't appear to bother her. She's knelt down, her face lifted up towards this floating shard of ice, singing in this enchanting voice.
Is she speaking in a language I recognise, or is she speaking like a foreign tongue?
It's not a language that you're familiar with.
And does she look to be human, or does she look to be some other type of creature?
She looks to be human. She is extremely pale. She looks quite beautiful. You can see that there is like mud and soil like caked on her upper arms as she's holding them up like that. And as she's facing, you're like seeing the side of her profile. You can see that her lips appear to have this bright sort of almost cerulean blue tinge to them. She has long sort of dreadlocked hair falling back over her shoulders, and she's wearing a simple gown of sort of spun cloth.
I think I will sit and watch the show for a while and take in the sights and sounds appreciatively.
Yeah, absolutely fine. She continues this prayer, this song, whatever it might be, and then after a few minutes, the song fades to an end. She stands up and she begins to sort of like clear the bracken and the brushwood away from underneath this floating ice monolith.
Okay, so while she's busying herself cracking that stuff and moving things about and rustling, I will take that opportunity, thinking that, you know, that'll be making a bit of noise. I will hope to use that noise to cover my retreat back to my companions.
Okay, make me a dexterity roll. It's pretty easy.
A 10.
Okay, unfortunately that is not enough. So
I need a 12,
as you
don't
so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a quick map so you can see what you see. So hopefully you can now see that map.
Mm-hmm.
You are at the bottom of the map.
Yep.
Okay, so as you start to retreat, you start to withdraw backwards, you accidentally rustle some of the foliage, and this woman looks in your direction, her eyes falling directly on you, and she's like, who's there?
It's Michael is my name. How do you do? Pleased to meet you.
She looks a little bit surprised to see anyone, to be honest, and then she says, what are you doing out here?
Well, I just heard your wonderful singing, and I came closer for a listen. I was kind of drawn to the fine melody. I'm quite appreciative of song and music and things, the finer things in life.
She smiles a little, her blue lips quirking upwards, and then says, well, yes, the song to Urta the Devouring Mother is a wonderful song. I sing it as I clean this place and make the necessary sacrifices.
So, and I like nod and point at your crystals. So,
she says, when look, I know you're there. Well, won't you step out of the trees and we can at least talk face to face?
Oh yeah, well I step out of the trees and I like adjust my dress and brush down myself and
okay.
try and make myself look a little bit more.
At this point, make me a
presentable.
charisma roll.
Yep. Need to expand his character sheet out a little bit. Yeah, not so good.
Okay, so almost without thinking about it, as you're sort of adjusting yourself, you find yourself walking forward across the small wooden bridge towards this beautiful woman who's sort of like holding her arms open in a welcoming sort of beckoning gesture. You find yourself almost drawn towards her. And as you look at her, she seems, as the sunlight through the trees seems to shine on her, she seems to embody all of the beauty, the grace, and the charm that you most admire in a member of the opposite sex. Obviously, the rest of you guys sort of hear this bit of a conversation, and then like Mick's like, and just start stumbling out through the trees towards this woman.
Nothing new there.
Move up. I promised to get him back alive.
Okay. So
Oh, in one piece, I said, didn't I? Yeah.
Okay, so I've added you onto the map, Lieutenant, down at the bottom. So obviously we're not in combat rounds. Feel free to move yourself. Mick sort of like, with a slightly sort of dreamy look on his face, is like stumbling closer to this woman.
Michael, where are you going? We have a mission.
As
Am
you're,
I
as
aware
you're,
of?
as
am
you're
I
saying
aware of
that,
that?
yeah, you're aware of him, but at the minute, the mission doesn't seem to be that important. You're like, well, surely I can talk to this woman and like, then we can get on with the mission. It's not like it's a big thing. And as you're saying that, you're actually entering this area of like purple light that's being cast by this floating ice shard, and these motes of purple light seem to drift down. Some of them settle on you briefly like fireflies before winking out. You feel peaceful.
Oh, cool.
Obviously, you see like this sort of like almost like purple sort of glow around Big Mick, Lieutenant, as he wanders into this area where the woman still stood there. Like,
I'll have a big dumbass grin on my face, no doubt.
yeah.
Well, I think
Can I
there.
see her from where I am, John?
Yeah, in fact, what I'll do is I will put you on the bottom of the map. Or I could just click on the wrong layer like an idiot. But I'll sort that out.
Oops.
There we go. So yeah, you can see Mick stumbling forward and the lieutenant being like, Mick, we've got a mission.
Oh, we're stomping across the bridge.
I would like to cast Detect Evil then. Once I see that Big Mick has obviously lost his senses, just to make sure that before I do
Okay.
anything else, I want to see what's going on.
Yeah,
He never had any senses in the first place.
you cast Detect Evil. You're not sensing any evil emanating from this woman.
Okay. And how about the monolith?
You don't sense any evil coming from that either.
Okay. Hmm.
See, she's lovely. What did I say?
Yes, begging your pardon, miss. We need to be going. Your singing was delightful.
She
But,
says,
Michael, we need to go.
well, I'm certainly not going to keep you here against your will. And then she turns towards you, Mick. She's almost like within arm's reach now as you're still sort of wandering forward. And she says, and she sort of runs a hand very gently down your cheek, Big Mick, which sends a frisson of excitement through your entire being. And she says, but tell me, noble stranger, are you sure you can't dally a while in this wonderful glade?
I'm sure that'll be all right for a little while. If you're going to do a bit more singing and going to be a bit more purple light and stuff.
She says, well, yes, the Oracle Stone is of the Devouring Mother is a great and powerful artifact from ages past, and it has been given to me by my brethren to guard this place and to ensure that it is kept in as pristine a condition as we can.
You want to keep it away from them beastmen.
She laughs and says, I'm sure such creatures will not trouble me here.
But that's as good a reason to stop here for a while as any I've heard.
But tell me, brave stranger, where is it that you hail from?
Oh, across the water. Far off in a place called Great London, no less. You may have heard of it.
She looks at you blankly, and then still sort of like with a hand on your cheek, very gently, she says, but you are one who has known the touch of the fairest.
Oh, yes, yes, indeed. And privileged, I feel too. Highlight of my career.
She smiles and laughs musically, and then says, "Well, my sisterhood do not have any great dealings with the fair, although perhaps in ages past, who can say? But now we guard these sacred places as the gods would have us do."
So what do they do? What do they do for you? They're obviously important.
Myself and my sisters, we dedicate ourselves to the following of the ancient gods of the Tolman Woad, and in return they bless us with peace, happiness, sometimes power, and also knowledge. Take for instance this great dolmen, and she gestures at the floating shard of ice. If blood is spilt on this, it can reveal great secrets and great knowledge from far distant.
Now that Droon fella did a trick with the blood, didn't he? Whose blood? He got some of my. It was my blood, wasn't it?
Are you saying that?
No, I was just recalling.
Okay, yes, he did. Yeah.
Did anybody else put up some blood for a similar thing?
Yeah, I did a whole thing with the drone at the standing stones after I tried to kill them, and
Right.
they did a sort of like divination on my blood and determined that I am hollow.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, they basically described Jackdaw as being like a shell that was missing a vital component.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think he's missing several vital components. I'm wondering. I'll say to you, forgive my ignorance, but would your sisterhood not have anything to do with the drone? I mean, yeah.
As you say that, her face sort of like twists in a look of distaste and disgust, and she's like, "Ugh, no, we have no truck with the drone."
No, right, no.
Maybe once in ages past, when they truly upheld the old ways, but they've forgotten their knowledge in their lust for power and control of the Tolman Woad.
Oh, right.
It is left to me and my sisters to keep the old ways and maintain the balance as it was meant to be maintained. It was never meant for men or for women to master the Tolman Woad. We were meant to live in harmony with it. But the Droon, they've forgotten this. They seek only power.
And I don't suppose you've got a lot of time for this Naglord fellow either, or
The
is he not?
Atunwi is a part of the Tolman Woad.
Oh, right.
Not a part I particularly enjoy, but as with everything in life, there has to be a balance. In order for there to be light, there must be dark.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot have one without the other. The Droon have forgotten this in their quest and their lust for power. They seek to remake the Tolman Woad in their own image. You need only look as far as the banishing of the fairest from the Tolman Woad to see that. Have you not seen the imbalance in these woods, and do you not wonder why now, even in the depths of the deepest winter, that the snow does not fall in the Tolman Woad? The icy cold winds of the north do not bite here. It is a land in an endless spring or autumn, and that is not the way that things are meant to be.
No, I'm only a simple fella, but I did, in fact, think that was a bit strange. Now you come to mention it.
Well, many many years ago, when the alliance of men and the Droon cast the fairest out of the Tolman Woad and barred them from entering this place, they saw only an inconvenience to themselves, an obstacle to be cast aside, an enemy to be defeated. They did not stop to think that the fairest are, as with everything in the Tolman Woad, are part of the balance of this place. And in casting them out, they threw that into chaos and disarray. But all they can see is the road that they have set themselves on, the road to power over this place, as if any one person or group of people could ever master a place as powerful and as magical as the Tolman Woad. As if the gods of the Woad would allow it.
So if these fellas and the Droon have their way, how do you see things going? What is your fear?
My fear is that I cannot speak for the Droon, but my fear is that they will try and continue to remake this place to better suit their liking, and that in doing so they will further tip the balance. And although I cannot say when, once the balance has been tipped so far, it is my fear that it will never be able to tip back. And who knows what will become of the Tolman Woad should that dark day ever occur.
See.
But if you have other questions, I would direct you to seek answers from the mother herself, and she gestures up at this floating edifice of ice that hangs in the air, sparkling as the sun refracts through its many crystals.
Well, there is a thing. Rumor has it that my actual parent, what I thought were my parents were not my parents, and I've got a sister with some issues, some strange stuff going on, and when I met with your fair folk, they did seem to think there was a certain touch of something a little bit unusual about my heritage. And I'm being a curious sort. I've always been wondering why I've been drawn to this place in particular. And if I'm honest, I don't mind it. I feel a certain affinity with the Dolmen Wood. So, if you thought it was possible, I wouldn't mind finding out a little bit more. If you're,
I will tell you that I will tell you that the devouring mother does ask a price for her wisdom, and the price is always one of blood.
Well, I got a fair old bit of that. It would, of course, depend how much she wanted.
In which case, step up to the stone, cast your offering upon it, and focus on the place or the time you wish to have knowledge of. And if the Great Mother is willing, your question may be answered.
All right. I will do that then.
Okay. So, are you going to put your own blood on it?
Yeah.
Okay, how many hit points worth of blood are you going to put on this bad boy?
2.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Roll me a d20.
Oh. It is an 8.
Okay, so how do you put your blood on the floating block of ice?
Well, I'll be looking for a bit of guidance from her, kind of thing, and say, what do I do?
As you step up, she says, "Please give me your hand."
Right.
You you hold your hand out, she cups it in one of her hands. She reaches inside her robes and she pulls out a small silver, like fruit peeling knife, not even like a dagger, just a tiny knife. And she sort of points it at your hand and looks at you for the thumbs up.
Yeah. Go for it.
At which point she draws it across your hand, causing a sharp lance of pain. And then she holds your hand out and she moves you forward till you're standing next to this floating icicle. And she presses your hand onto the stone. And what are you thinking about as you...
Well, I think I'll be thinking about that, like what I was told about this being switched over. So going back to perhaps when I was left on the doorstep, or myself and my sister were switched over. If that's right, if I'm recalling that right, it was like the situation where the Fae come and take your children and like leave one of their own in its place or something, wasn't it? Like that.
Indeed. Okay, so you step forward. Don't forget to cross the hit points off your character sheet.
Yeah, done
and
it.
You place your bloody
I
hand
took it off the wrong side.
on the floating icy edifice, and you feel a cold seep into your forearm and your very bones. As you think about the time when you were supposedly delivered to your parents, and everything seems to swim and grow hazy as though a mist is gathering around you. And as the mist clears, you find yourself stood in the familiar streets of Slaughterward. You see that you're stood outside your parents' butchery, and as you watch, you see a tall figure wearing a hooded robe moving through the streets. Under its arms are two small children, like wrapped in black swaddling blankets. The figure pauses beneath the green light of one of the gloom bug lanterns hung by the street, and as he looks up, you see quite a sort of beautiful face, although it has a greenish tinge to the skin and a slight point to its ears. It's a very tall, willowy figure. As you watch, this figure walks over, lays these two infants, who are not making a sound, down on the doorstep. It reaches a green tinged hand that sort of places a hand on the foreheads of each of these children and whispers a few words that you don't understand. As these words are whispered, the two infants begin crying, and the figure steps back into the shadows seeming to gather around it. The door opens and you see your mother open the door, though obviously much younger. Opens the door. She looks around, looks down, sees these two infants there, and she shouts to your father. She's like, so someone's left two babes on the doorstep. You hear your father, Frank, be like, you what? Left two what? Two babes on the doorstep, Frank. He's like, well, we ain't got time for none of that. She's like, oh, Frank, but you know we've been trying for children for so long without any success, and he's like, well, yeah, I know, but look, there could be anyone. She's like, oh, but look, they've been abandoned, Frank. They've just been left here on the doorstep, and it's like Gale's answered my prayers. I mean, you know how hard and long I've been praying all night that we could have some children of our own, and look, now we're there. Look, a little boy and a little girl, and you see like your father like stomp out the door, still like his butcher's apron on, and he looks down and he's like, wow, not sure about that, Peggy. There could be anybody's. And she's like, "Oh, Frank, look, we can't just leave them out here. Look, they'll starve to death. At least let me bring them in and look after them. Like, if you still want me to go and speak to the Peakers in the morning, we can do, but we can't just leave them out here overnight." And he's like, "All right, bring them in, but straight to the Peakers tomorrow, and we'll have no more said about it." And she picks up the two children, picks up the young girl, passes the young boy, yourself as an infant, to Frank, and he sort of he looks down and he goes, "Wow, he is a cheery looking little fucker, no mistake." And as he sort of did it, he sort of goes like that with his finger, and you see your own infant hand sort of reach up and grab his finger, and your mother says, "Oh well, look, let's get them inside, and we'll see if we can get some milk down them." And he's like, "All right then, come on then." And they go back inside. The door shuts behind them. As you watch, you see this figure that you can still see, but your parents didn't seem to be able to perceive, is stood in the shadows. The figure says something that you don't understand, but in a sad tone of voice, and you see a single glistening tear run down the cheek of this tall, willowy, almost sort of semi-goblinoid looking figure. He says something, nods, and slowly turns and drifts off into the shadows. And as he heads into the shadows, the mist again seems to collect around you, and as it clears, you find yourself back facing this floating ice monolith, your hand still pressed against it.
Do you think I'd be able to remember what he said if I was to repeat it or something?
Yeah, you're pretty sure you could remember it.
So whilst it's fresh in my mind, I'll try and I don't. I was going to say write it down, but I haven't got anything to write on really, and I'm sort of a bit busy, so I'll have to do my best to try and remember for now, and also keep an eye out for any folk that look kind of similar to the guy that I saw.
So I'll assume you repeat it under your breath a few times just to set it in your memory. As you're doing that, the young woman who stood next to you smiles and says, "That's one of the languages of the fair folk."
Oh, well, that's what was said to me in this vision from your Lady of the Stone or the Crystal.
I'm not an expert in the tongue of the fair folk, since they've been gone for many years from these lands, but it means something akin to war is coming, may you have better luck here than you would with us.
So seems like the tales are true then. Does this mother always show things as they were? As
the mother shows things in the way they actually happened. I have never known the stone to. Sometimes it does not answer questions, but I've never known it to willfully answer a question falsely.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. I need to sit down for a minute.
Take all the time you need. You are safe while you're in this glade.
Thanks very much.
So, whilst Big Mick's sort of having his vision and he's sitting down, what are the rest of you guys up to?
I guess I'm just kind of hanging back, waiting to see what happens. Not overly concerned since she didn't detect as evil. So, yeah, I guess I'm just kind of waiting.
Left hand, I would have just been standing there, arms folded, watching.
Okay, what about Jackdaw?
I suppose I'm on lookout because we're apparently all kind of focused on this thing. So I guess I would be, if there's a tree nearby that I could use as a post,
Yeah.
I guess I would be up in a tree, having a look.
Okay, not a problem. So as you're up in the tree looking, so some distance to the west, you see what appears to be a carriage of sorts, but it appears to be, you know, like those ones where it's like a person at the front and a person at the back sort of carrying it, and it's like a one-person deal. It looks like that. You can see stood on the back footplate is what appears to be a beastman wearing gleaming armour, holding an axe, and the carriage appears to be the conveyance is lifted by what look to be 2 humans at the front, 2 humans at the back. They're very pale, they're entirely hairless, they're pretty much just wearing loincloths. They appear to have this sort of slightly glazed expression on their face. Although you can't really hear from this distance, as you watch, occasionally you see this beastman on the back sort of like crack a whip, and the humans sort of move this carriage. It appears to be heading sort of in a roughly northwesterly direction.
So I will try and attract, I think, the friar's attention. So I think what I'll do is I'll take an arrow and I will toss it, close to the friar.
Okay. Yeah. So there's like as an arrow sticks in the ground near you, friar. You're muted.
Sorry, I'll turn around and start looking for wherever it came from.
I'll wave from the tree.
What's going on, Jackdaw?
There's I don't quite know what it is, but there's one of those beastmen on a palanquin being carried by 4 slaves heading northwest, was it, John?
Yep.
Heading towards the northwest. Over that way, and I'll point where I saw them.
Okay. Should we go and check it out?
I think so. However, they travel in, I think they are sort of going about in groups. They're herd beasts, I guess. This one's alone with gleaming armor and 4 slaves. That, I don't know what to make of that, but that is different from what we've seen before.
Indeed. So if you look on the map, you're sort of seeing them sort of like around about here. So there's some distance away. It's not like you're going to run into them randomly.
Yeah. So, but I will relay my observations of where I think they're going, like which direction and where they are now.
Yep.
And can you see Drigbolton from where you are?
From the if you like climb a bit higher, you can just about make out like a small village.
I think so, Friar.
Okay. And is that the direction they're heading in?
Northwest. So no, I guess if they're going northwest from Fort Volgar.
Yeah, they appear to be sort of like heading in like this direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they are passing Drigbolton from the side. If they continue that way, I don't know.
Okay.
You guys know that once you've crossed the river, you've got like a day's travel before you reach the area of Drigbolton.
Sorry, John, we've come up the east side of the river, have we?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So they're the far side of the river heading away from us, okay. I am intrigued, but perhaps we should stick to our mission.
As you continue watching, Jackdaw, you see the sort of curtains that are on this like palanquin sort of move slightly, and for just a few moments in like the glint of the sunlight, you catch a sight of like a glint of gold sort of behind the curtains, although you can't really tell what it is.
I think there's probably... I think it's not the Beastman entirely. In this case, I think there's probably some other higher being, however you want to look at that, but someone with more brains than they have. And I think there's probably treasure there. However, given that the slaves aren't going to be a defense, and if there's one Beastman that I can see, there's probably some other means of surviving in this woods, which I don't know how to deal with. If we wanted to waylay this palanquin.
It does bother me to see beastmen with gleaming armor.
Yes, it's rather not the expected condition you would find them in. And it speaks of an alliance that might be quite troubling.
How far away are they?
I would say a couple of days away because we need to ford the river in. But I suppose I could track them because they have a palanquin that is slow going, and the gleaming armor is a good sign.
Yeah, with your skills, Jack, and obviously with like Blinn helping you, that like I said, they're moving with a palanquin. They're not sort of like stealth moving through the woods, so they're leaving a pretty obvious trail. And that if you guys were to go after them, obviously you don't have to, but if you were, you would be moving considerably quicker than they are.
If nothing else, if we actually want to go and take a look at what this might be, presumably they have to set camp, so we might be able to get more information that way. And I could climb a tree and, I don't know, put an arrow through one of their eyes.
Yes, I think we should find out more. And I will call out to the lieutenant and Mick to say that there are beastmen nearby, and that we are going to track them. And see if they want to join us or stay where they are.
I shall draw my sword on the immediate mention of the word beastman.
They are a ways away yet.
No sooner is the word beastman left your lips, but like the lieutenant's like sword out, he's in combat stance, he's ready to go.
A ways away, you say?
Aye.
Okay,
He's on edge.
So obviously, Mick, you hear them call out as well, asking if you want to accompany them while they track these beastmen, or if you'd rather remain in this glade.
So once again, I'm drawn from near paradise into potentially fatal combat.
It does seem to be a disturbing trend with your character.
Yeah, every time I find somewhere really nice,
Every time Big Mick carves himself off a little slice of heaven, someone's got to drag you away from it.
Yeah. It's a tragic pattern of abuse, really.
Is it a pattern that stems back to when you were just a babe?
Maybe.
When you were taken from wherever you came from,
Yeah.
and you were delivered into the often grimy and downtrodden environs of Slaughter Ward in Greater London.
It's just my destiny for it to just reoccur time and time again.
Okay, so to speed
I'll
this
make
along,
like a News of the World reporter, make my excuses and leave.
okay, the young lady sort of nods and smiles, and then says, "Should you ever find yourself in this area again, either myself or one of my sisters will be here."
Yeah, well, thank you very much for your hospitality. Honoured to have met you, and wish you all the best, and hope you can keep things as you want them kept, and hope to see you again in the not too distant future.
She smiles and nods.
And I will bid my leave and head off begrudgingly.
Nice. back away. Follow on with after Mick. Did you find out what you wanted, Mick? Spilling your blood.
Well, there's definitely seems to be some truth in this Fae rumour.
Whoa.
Yeah, some definite funny goings on.
As you're having this discussion, Blinn has rejoined you. She's got like a couple of game birds she's hunted while she was out, so over her shoulder, and she says, "So, on to Drigbolton then."
It's a while since I've seen a couple of game birds. Last time I saw a couple of game birds, I end up hitched.
I think you may make your own trouble, Mick.
Well, you know, it was that weird blue beer or whatever it was.
Yeah,
you notice that Blinn sort of like trickles a bit when you say that. And she sort of goes, yeah.
He's
So
obviously never been to Prigwalk Brewery or wherever it was.
I will hand her 20 gold pieces and explain that there's been a change in plan and that we need to track this palanquin. And can she lead the way?
Okay, that's absolutely fine.
So we're zigzagging our way up to Drigbolton.
Indeed.
Well, the drone's not here to keep us on track, so it's his fault.
Is he not? He's circling above, isn't he? He's circling up there somewhere.
Okay, so about a day and a half's travel to the west, so you'll need to eat a ration again. Because you're moving quite quickly, and with Blinn guiding you through the forests, you do, as Jackdaw said, you're travelling a lot faster than this palanquin, and you start catching up with it. Looking up ahead, you can see it appears to be this small sort of enclosed carriage with a set of struts running by it. There's two humans at the back sort of carrying it. There's two humans at the front, but like I said, they're pale, entirely hairless, wearing just like loincloths. Stood on like the back plate of this palanquin is this large beastman wearing gleaming metal armour. He has a bullwhip in one hand and an axe in the other, and occasionally you see him like go, "Ah!" and like lash this whip, and the humans who are carrying the palanquin are like.
And what time is it when we catch up with them?
It's probably sort of just getting sort of like dusk.
Okay. So, assuming that we've agreed a plan before we actually caught up with them, I would suggest that we kind of wait and see if they stop overnight.
Yes, ambush them at dark.
Yes.
Okay, so as you follow them, you note they do indeed stop for the evening. The large beastman takes out what appears to be a number of manacles, and the humans are chained by their legs to the palanquin. And as you watch, you see this tall armoured beast, and he starts like setting up a tent and a camp, little campfire, stuff like that. Then the doors of this palanquin open, and this large beast man with two spiral horns that have gold inlay on them, wearing these fancy sort of embroidered leather robes of some kind, so holds a hand out like that. The armoured beastkin takes the other one by the hand and sort of leads them out of the palanquin and leads them over to where the tent is set up, and this gold-horned beastkin goes inside the tent whilst the armoured beastkin starts getting the campfire ready and stuff like that. The humans are chained to the palanquin, and they're pretty much just sat down like not really doing it, and they just sat down like cross-legged. Like a couple of them are like picking up a few bits of grass and
They've been got at, haven't they? They've had some sort of partial lobotomy or something. Can you see on their heads like any scarring or anything like that?
Nope. Like I said, they do have like a very odd sort of like pallor to their skin. They're quite pale, and like I say, they're entirely. You can see most of their body because they've only got loincloths on, but they're entirely hairless. They don't even have eyebrows. You watch as the armoured beastkin gets a couple of smaller animals out of the sort of undercarriage, like storage space of the palanquin. He puts a stick through them, puts them at an angle over the fire, so they slowly start cooking.
So, regarding a plan, I would suggest that I go into the tallest tree over here, and I'll take shots with my bow as long as I can, and then we position the rest of us within sensible distance so that we can get in there, or rather you can get in there.
Obviously, you're observing the scene as you're making your plan. The large beast man turns towards the tent and in common, but in a very gruff voice, says, "Count, your food is ready." At which point this beastkin wearing the fanciful leather robes steps out, takes peels off like a small chunk of this like meat, pops it in his mouth and chews it. As you can see that his teeth actually appear to be coated in gold. He chews the meat and he says, "Yes, not bad, not bad." He says, feed the animals, will you?" At which point the large beastkin peels off some more of this meat, goes around to the humans who are still sat there, and just like hands them this meat, and they're like,
Okay, so our plan is Jackdaw and Mick in trees shooting, and myself, Gregor, and Lieutenant Uffington kicking ass in the middle. Is that it?
Just a small point. What are we? Why are we murdering these guys for now?
Because they're
What did they
beastmen,
do?
Mick.
What did they do? they look kind of civilized for beastmen, though. I mean, he did just say he was a count. Is that not some sort of nobility?
Yeah, civilized enough to have slaves.
Yeah, well, see, there you go. Civilized enough to have slaves.
That's somewhat behind us in Great London, wouldn't you say?
Oh, I don't know. I've worked for some pretty rough bosses.
Mm.
And the old man don't pay so well.
Any of them tie you up for night?
I think that's between... I think I'll keep that to myself. What I do in my spare time is not a lot of your business, Jackdaw. It has to be...
You get tied up in your spare time? I mean,
I said it was like, none of your business, didn't I?
Honestly, like sincerely, just like, what?
Well, we could at least speak to them before.
Well, I mean,
Killing them.
we say slaves. We don't really know what's gone here. I mean, you might be jumping into some sort of assumption. I mean, they're funny looking humans, and they're, to be fair, funny looking beastmen.
All right, so they are getting ready to lay themselves to sleep. Presumably, they are expecting probably little to no danger. Otherwise, they would have more guards. So,
which is worrying in itself.
Yes. However, because of that, if the greatest number of us, and by that I mean excluding myself at least, if we were to approach them and make friendly overtures, they might be at a disadvantage if, presuming that we don't want to go in and just murder them, which I don't see how we wouldn't, but if we want to talk to them, we could probably catch them off guard just walking up to them as they're doing their end of day business. Mm-hmm. And I could line up a shot, I think, at the count, because I think if there's something going on here, is probably the source is the count. So
Yeah.
I line up a shot at the count, and the rest of you go striding down the path, just moseying up, having a good flap of the old gums.
And if they're all right, you won't shoot them
Wow.
this time.
Well, I'm just going to say that if you walk up there, I have my shot lined up, and suddenly you all turn back to look at me, and you say, "It's all good. Calm down, Jack." I will shoot that count.
John, was there a sense that these rather large beastmen were only created by eating this kind of pink jelly? Did we get that sense from the Droon the last time?
There wasn't any specific mention made of that, no. There was talk that the secretions of the strange tree-like creature that you fought were being used to create more beastmen.
Okay.
And the guy I was talking to said that around these parts there's these other beastmen that are pretending to be like they've got airs and graces and they're adopting kind of pseudo-human ways.
Yeah.
Okay, so new plan. Very similar to the old plan. Myself, the lieutenant, and Gregor will walk in. We will talk to the Count, and should we dislike what we hear, we will dispatch the Count, and should we like what we hear, I guess we will be on our way. And I'll give Jackdaw like the double eyes to say, behave yourself.
Mm-hmm. So, what is the... I suppose when the lieutenant pulls out the steel, that's when I'm good for my shot.
Why don't you wait for the bells?
So
And
what,
I give the friar the office.
so what I'm going to suggest is, while you guys are going in, obviously Jackdaw, you're free to line up your shot, that's fine.
Yep.
I'm going to suggest that should it come down to it, Johannes, you take control of Gregor during this.
Yeah,
you should
that's fine.
be able to use
That's
his
fine.
sheet.
Yep.
Okay. So, how do you go about it, guys?
So I guess, in true cowboy fashion, I will call out, "Hello, camp. May we approach to..."
As you sort of say hello, you see the armoured beastkin like has his axe and he's like ready. He's sort of like looking around. You hear a voice from inside the tent say, "What is it?" At which point the guard says, "Someone calling out, asking for permission to approach." "Well, give it then, give it." At which point he sort of gestures with his axe and says, "You may approach."
So I will approach first, I guess.
As you're approaching, you see this count wearing these long sort of embroidered leather robes, like so obviously just like shrugging them back on again, perhaps having been getting undressed for the night. Comes, sort of ducks out of the tent so the long horns don't catch on the canvas of the tent. You see this gold inlay spiraling around his horns.
Well met, good sirs. I am Friar Dunstan from over the sea. These are my companions.
And I am Lord Tharl. Well, technically not Lord yet. Count Tharl. He says as his guard shoots him a bit of a look. He says, "Well, what could dream Garuk one can dream?"
And what is it you were the Count of?
Why, of my territory is to the west of here. That's where I'm travelling back to.
And where are you coming from?
Well, I've just been on a little jaunt through the woodland, as is my fancy.
Ah.
I'm seeing if there are any more attendees for the Naglord's ball.
Ah. And
All the most exalted are going to be there. Why, even creatures from the very heavens themselves will be attending the ball.
And when is the Naglor's ball?
It's in 5 days hence.
Ah. And where is it?
It's at the Naglord's manse to the west of here.
Ah.
I believe even Lord Malbleet's sending a contingent.
Who is Lord Malbleet?
You mean to say you've not heard of Lord Malbleet, the lord of the area around Langshorn?
No.
Oh, dear. What sort of uncultured barbarians are we getting in the Dolmenwood nowadays? To not even have heard of Lord Malbleet.
Your tone is a little condescending.
Forgive me. I'm not used to talking with your kind.
Uh-huh. But there are many of my kind in the Dolmenwoods. How can you be a count and not be used to talking to my kind?
Well, I have people for that sort of thing.
Ah. Do your people have better manners?
Well, manners are something required of the lower classes.
Ah. But surely a count such as yourself must be, who wishes to be a lord, would be better mannered, no?
Well, I'm sorry if you've taken my talk for ill manners. I forget how terribly precious about these things you humans are.
Ah.
Amongst my kind, we are not so precious that we can be injured by mere words.
Ah. Indeed. And tell me, we came across plenty of your kind who tried to murder us in our sleep.
No! Savages! Barbarians! The lot of them.
Ah.
They are no more my kind than the wild men of the north are of your kind.
Ah. The wild men of the north, huh?
Indeed. They may look a little like you, but they have scant resemblance to you in the same way those brutish creatures have no. They are not my kind. They may look a little similar, but savages, barbarians, a lot of them.
Ah. But not you. You're cultured.
Well, I'm pleased to see you recognise that.
Aye. Cultured and ill-mannered.
Well, as I say, I'm mightily sorry if my plain speech has offended you.
Aye. And tell me, how come you're keeping these slaves?
But the Adacorns, and he gestures at the people. They are beasts of burden, of service.
Okay. They look very much like my kind.
Well, yes, but as I've said, there are many things that look like many other things. That does not make them so.
Ah. And what did you say these creatures are called?
Adacorns.
Okay. And how did you come by your Hadacorns?
I inherited them.
Ah. And tell me, which lord did you seek to overthrow?
No, I don't seek to overthrow any lord. If I serve Lord Malbleet, if it is my time, then maybe I'll become a lord myself. I do hope that if I make a positive impression at the ball, maybe that will improve my station. But One can never tell with these things.
Indeed. And tell me about this Lord Malbleed. Is he of your kind?
Oh, yes, yes.
Ah. And is he the greatest lord in the land?
Well, he is certainly the greatest lord of the territories to the west of the river.
Ah.
And as this, again, as I say, as this beastkin's talking to you, you see that he's got like gold sort of plated teeth.
Okay. Okay, so but we're east of the river, right? So is this land yours too?
You're west of the stream now.
Ah, okay. So this Drigbolton territory is in. Okay.
He says, "Yes, I know. I'm a little east of our territories, but as I say, the guests for the ball are coming from all over, and well, some of them may not know their way, so I thought it would do my station no small harm if I were to go out and shepherd them towards the ball."
Ah. And how far is the party? Sorry, I can't remember where you said it was. The Naglord's manse from here.
He says, "Oh, about 10 days' travel."
10 days travel. Ah. And how will you be there in 5 days' time for the ball if it's 10 days travel hence?
Well, I have my ways.
Ah. And the Naglord will be there himself.
Why, yes, of course. It's his ball.
Ah. And tell me, does the Naglord have many balls?
Oh, no, they're a rarity.
Ah.
Some of the guests are coming from, and he looks up, some are coming from far afield.
Right.
They can't make a trip like this every week, you know.
So what is the occasion?
Why, the Naglord wishes to bestow blessings on his subjects and dispense his wisdom. It is not for me to question the Naglord's will.
Okay. And tell me, have you met the Naglord?
No. Although I dearly hope to at this ball.
And have you ever seen him?
No.
No. Okay. Is this the first ball in your lifetime?
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to it.
So tell me of your means of travel. Such a thing is of great interest to me.
Well, it's quite simple. We have 2 of the beasts at the front, 2 at the back. I have my guard Goodrook on the back, and I sit inside, and we travel. There isn't a great deal more to it.
Yes, but how are you to travel 10 days?
No, you can't expect me to go giving away all of my secrets.
Indeed, that is an interesting concept. Would you perhaps trade for such a secret?
Well, I really don't see what you'd have to offer that I'd be interested in, but I'd certainly entertain the prospect.
So now I have to remember that I'm supposed to be good. Okay. I have him. No, I don't. So I guess I am interested in attending the Naglord's ball.
At which point he throws his head back and lets out a loud braying laugh, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, forgive me. Just a thought of one of your kind attending the Naglord's ball. Sorry, I don't mean to seem insulting again."
Okay.
But I'm afraid it's invitation only.
But you have an invitation.
Why, yes, of course.
And so perhaps if I was the count of such a place, I would have such an invitation.
Well, I dare say if you were a personage of importance, you would have already received an invite.
Aye. Okay. Okay. Well, it has been a pleasure to meet you. And I wish you well in your endeavors. And farewell, I guess.
Ah, farewell.
And then I guess we'll walk away. Unless anyone else wants to do anything else.
Anyone want
No,
to do
I'm
anything
just
else?
waiting for either you to come back or give me the signal to
Okay, so
get in business.
assuming no one wants to do anything else, the rest of the group rejoin Jackdaw. You have about
What
a
a
day's
pompous
travel.
ass.
You have about a day's travel to the north to reach Drigbolton.
I suppose we are foregoing the detachment of golden teeth then.
Yeah, but should we perhaps try and free his slaves as an inconvenience to him for being a pompous ass?
Oh, I could just shoot them from the tree. But they are not going to dodge or make any effort.
No, but he also has locked them up for a reason, so I think that we could release them. Someone with your stealth, laying on a bit thick as the firewood, could also, release said slaves, trap them here, perhaps see if there was anything of value that would be of that would inconvenience him to be missing, if such a thing would be.
Well, I suppose we could wait until they go to sleep, and me and Wick could just saunter up, and Mick could do his magic on the locks, the manacles.
The only thing with that is, of course, what are you going to do with these things once you've freed them? You're going to need to feed them and look after them. They're bleeding hopeless, aren't they?
Yeah, that's why I said I could just shoot them from the tree.
Well, you
I think if we just scare them off and he will find them in a day or two and be about his business. It's more around inconvenience him for his rudeness as opposed to actually trying to acquire his.
Is there a thing we're going to benefit from here?
No. We're going to piss him off.
Is there material gains to be had?
I suspect within the Harlequin there is. He's too much of a pompous ass to not have a significant amount of.
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do with drapes here in the woods. Fancy drapes.
But they're they're your colour, Jackdaw.
I could go take a look if we want to wait until they go to sleep. I could go take a look.
Yeah.
Okay, so you wait until in the evening. You can see that the armoured beast man appears to be sort of staying awake and on guard. Obviously, you can still attempt to stealth your way in.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you would like to do that, would you like to make me a dex roll, Jackdaw?
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got your elven cloak.
Yeah. So it's been a while, so I don't remember if I can put down modifiers. No, I can't. But this. Oh yeah. Well, there we go. So that is sans my cloak. So that is 36.
Okay, so basically, you are invisible unless you do something to draw attention to yourself. So you stealth your way into the camp, elven cloak over, hiding in the shadows. You can see this beastman appears to be sort of like wandering around the clearing, just sort of like keeping a lookout. He's got his whip on his belt, axe in hand. You see these humans, are sort of, a few of them are falling asleep, like where the savage are.
Yep.
The rest of them are sort of looking around, like dumbly, basically. You can hear snoring from inside the tent.
Yeah. There's like a flap probably at the tent, like a door flap. Does it seem to be tied closed?
It does not.
If I'm fairly certain that the guard isn't aware of my presence, I would like to catalog what I can of both the tent and the palanquin. If there's anything in either.
Not a problem. You quickly have a look around, and aside from like the weapons and stuff they're carrying, you catalogue that there are 5 platinum pieces and 26 silver pieces spread between the two. The Count has the 5 platinum pieces on him, and the 26 silver are in the palanquin. Make me a wisdom roll, please, Jackdaw.
Well, at least it's not Constitution. Charisma. So that would be a 4 if it doesn't count my level.
Okay. So while you're sort of creeping around the tent, you see this beastman Count. You make no sound as you're moving around, so I see you're pretty much invisible. You're just about to leave when you look to your right. You can see that sort of folded up and laid to the side is the leather cloak, the sort of robes that the Beastkin Count was wearing. And as you're looking at it, the light falling through the tent flap shines on one particular sort of like leather panel of this cloak, and you can see that there's a tattoo on it.
Tattoo on the leather itself?
Indeed.
What does it depict?
It appears to depict an anchor.
So it's a human flesh cloak, then? Or yeah, well, I guess it could be a beastman as well. Is it? So it was inlaid with gold, and
the robe isn't inlaid with gold, but the horns of the beastman,
the horns
and his
were,
teeth are covered in gold.
Okay, so the robe itself is leather, then?
Yeah, it's leather, and it's very finely stitched. And now you're looking at it a bit closer. It has the same sort of pallid look to it that the Adacorns outside have.
Yeah. Like, just in my estimation, because I'm not exactly interested, or Jackdaw isn't interested in either, really, but if my quick estimation is that I could take either or both of the platinum and the flesh cloak, I will do so.
You pocket the 5 platinum pieces and you grab the cloak.
Yeah, just like, if I presume it's somewhat like it's folded or something, so I just under the cloak, under my arm, and I will exit. And
not a problem.
Anything remarkable about the guard?
Okay, you can see again he has these long curled horns, although not inlaid with gold. He's wearing like gleaming plate armor. He's holding like a large axe, which to most people will be like a double-handed axe, but he's massive, so he's holding it in one hand. And he has this long coiled like bullwhip hanging off his belt. The plate armor doesn't cover his goat-like sort of digigrade legs, but he's got like a sort of armored bit on his head as like a helmet. The armor's obviously been like custom made for him.
Yeah, obviously. So he's a big lad.
Yeah.
Can I smell or see or otherwise figure out what's keeping him awake? Because I'm presuming that he's going to be guarding when they move, and he doesn't seem to be stopping the guarding at night. I'm intrigued about like what sorcery fuels him.
You don't see any obvious signs of what's keeping him awake.
Right. So I was thinking like if he has like some leaves maybe, or he has a kettle on the fire, some stimulants, but if there's nothing I can see, then I will let it go.
You wait for a short amount of time, and you notice it a couple of times. He like goes over and like puts his head into like the palanquin, and then he like comes back out, but you don't see what he's doing while he's rooting around in the palanquin.
Yeah. Can you access the palanquin from two sides?
Yeah.
Okay, I will go in the other, the other side.
You wait until he's like on like the far bit of his sort of patrol, and you're looking through the door, and you can see what appears to be a round-bottomed green sort of flask, like made of glass, that has a stopper in it.
I'll just take that.
Yep, that's fine.
So I'll get back, and because I don't have the tools to lockpick, that's Mick's thing. So I'll get back, and I'll mention that I have liberated the Count of his most apparent financials, which is some platinum. I have this, which I presume is what keeps the big one on his feet day and night. I show the flask. And I have this, which I presume is not human skin. And when I say not human, I mean those humans over there.
And he lays out the robe, and you can see like this anchor tattoo on one of the leather panels.
Is there a name of a ship with that anchor?
No.
So I just thought that maybe it's an inconvenience for him to not have his clothes, because I thought that you might object if I lengthened his sleep until further notice. So this is what we have. And Mick, if you wanted to, unless you go out, I don't know, stepping on twigs and farting, you could go in, take care of the manacles, I think. If that's something we want to do.
I ain't too keen on getting my head parted from my shoulders on this occasion, should we say. For no dumbass beasts of burden former people that you got me confused with some sort of hero.
Sorry, John. Is the anchor on the cloak? Is it on like a real pallid skin, like the creatures that we've seen, or is it more what we would? Okay.
The whole cloak appears to be made out of sort of tanned leather that has a similar pallid look to these adacorns, as they've called them.
Okay. And would we have come across adacorns before or heard any history or anything of it?
No, we call them cows where I come from.
Cows have
like
4 legs.
Oh, my sheepskin here. These don't see the humans any different, do they? They just think they're animals. Which seems perfectly reasonable to me. It's all a case of your point of view, isn't it? If you're Goatman Lord, you're some sort of superior life form, and everything else is there for your benefit, as it were.
Yeah. I am greatly upset by his human-skinned cloak.
Yeah, if this is what he's taking to a ball, I think we would do best not to even try and attend. If the attire is human's flesh, I would like to go elsewhere.
Well, you and me both.
Well, let's extend his sleep until further notice and go north.
Yeah?
Mission.
Oh.
His face lit up there for a moment.
Okay, so are you guys planning to head north to Drigbolton?
I think that's the plan.
Okay, no problems. You travel north for a day, so you'll all need to use a ration. environs of Drigbolton. Hopefully you can all see the party icon at the bottom of the map.
Okay.
Okay, so as you're travelling north along an old dirt road, you can see a small creek in front of you with a slightly sort of tumbled down but serviceable looking bridge over it. At the base of the bridge on your side of this creek is what appears to be a small roadside shrine.
More religious paraphernalia.
And as you're approaching, you can see a couple of people dressed like villagers are stood at the shrine. They appear to be almost as though they're in a sort of a frenzy, you know, they're like tearing at their hair, they're sort of falling down and sort of bowing before this shrine.
Can I approach the shrine and have a look and see if it's anything that I recognise?
Indeed, so as you're approaching it, it's just a tiny, lonely little wayside shrine, and you think it's a saint that you're familiar with. Like I say, saints appear to be a bigger thing in the Dolmenwood than they are in the sort of the Midlands. But you think it's a sign to St. Craven, who's a saint of infant martyrdom.
Infant martyrdom.
Yeah, although he's also the saint of incontinence and idle hands. So,
okay,
you can see what must have once been the graven image of the saint, and it now appears to be smeared with this sort of like pink gelatinous substance.
Okay.
And the sort of wooden roof over it has like gaudy strips of brightly coloured cloth that have been tied to it and are hanging down.
Okay. 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 And based on what I know about these saints, which I know is not a whole pile, this gaudy cloth seems out of place. Like it's
perhaps a local affectation. Obviously, someone's tied these strips of cloth here, you know, maybe as a sort of offering.
Okay.
It's not uncommon in the more sort of like backwoods shrines for people who've not got much to like tie some cloth to a shrine, hoping that it'll bring them good fortune.
Okay. And this pink jellyish type stuff, is it idle, is it, or is it all over the?
It's been like smeared over this this statue, and as you watch, you see one of the sort of frenzied pair of villagers actually has a bowl with some of this pink gelatinous substance in, and they're like daubing it on the statue.
Okay. So, outraged by this, I will walk over and then take the bowl off them and throw it in the river.
Yeah, you throw it in the creek. The villager just sort of like looks up at you like a smile on their face, doesn't respond rudely or violently when they just let you take the bowl and throw it in the creek.
Okay. And then I will use some holy water to wash off the statue.
As you start doing that, one of the villagers sort of puts his hands out and he's like, "Oh, you mustn't wash the blessing of the gods off the statue. I mean, this manna was sent by the gods themselves. It's only right we should share some of that blessing back with the gods."
This is not a godly blessing. This has come from a demon of extreme potency, and I will continue to wash it off.
The young woman who's there says, "Oh, how can you say that? We were starving in Drigbolton before and we prayed to the gods to send us salvation, and they have delivered us." And as she's saying that, she like literally like pulls a bit of this pink jelly off the statue and like pops it into her mouth and eats it. Then smiles at you.
Okay. So the creature that answers your prayers, I can assure you, is no god. And and what this substance is doing to you, it will be unpleasant. And I very strongly suggest you stop eating it.
As you're saying that, out of the nearby woodlands, you notice a wolf emerges from the nearby woodlands, and neither of the villagers react to it. The wolf just pads over to the statue, but the woman actually reaches down and sort of scratches it on its back. It doesn't respond violently or attack her or anything like that, and it just sits down by the statue, and it also eats some of this pink goo.
Okay. So I guess I'll just continue washing the pink goo off the statue.
They don't make any move to stop you, although they look a bit perturbed by what you're doing.
And then I'll turn around when I'm finished, and I've cast so I cleaned it all and said a prayer over it. I will turn to them and ask them, where did the substance first arrive? So where's
Well, when Gail answered our prayers, and we all go and collect it, and she gestures across to the east. And as you look to the east, you can see that the ground appears to be like cracked, and let's see how far away it is. So like about a mile to the east of you, you can see there appears to be like a sort of large cracked crater in the ground.
Okay.
And you can actually see there's like a few villagers like around it with like bowls, and some of them like dip the bowls in, they come up and it's full of this pink goo.
Okay. And this pink goo is the same pink goo we've seen in the Abbey, right?
It looks very similar, yes.
Okay.
Seems like even the wildlife's eating it as well.
Yeah. That's somewhat worrying.
Mm-hmm.
Should we go into the village or should we check out the crater?
I reckon we should have a look at that crater before we go further into the village. At least that way we maybe get a little bit of the background of what's gone on, perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're heading over to the crater?
Yes.
Okay, like I say, it's about a mile away. It's pretty much open ground, so it's not difficult to travel across. It's sort of fairly desolate moorland. As you travel, you see what appears to be this large crater. It's probably about 250 yards across, and you see in the center of this crater is what looks to be like a black chunk of metal, and then surrounding this chunk of metal, filling and overflowing from the crater and sort of splashed in random gobbets in the area surrounding it, is this huge morass of this phosphorescent rose pink jelly. Animals of various kind, predator and prey, are all just sort of sat down peacefully next to each other, slowly like slurping up this pink jelly. There are also local people around with like baskets and various improvised carrying devices collecting this jelly.
Does it look like the jelly could perhaps have been already buried and released by the impact?
It's difficult to tell, but currently it's like filled up this crater and it's sort of overflown onto the outskirts of it. However, as you're looking at the jelly, Lieutenant, you feel like a slight sort of lightheadedness come over to you. Like, not like you're drunk, but like, like you just had a couple of drinks and you're feeling a little bit merry. And something about the humour of your current situation. You've travelled through all these dangers and all this horrendousness and sea travel, and now you're stood next to a crater full of like pink jelly. Just something about the humorous, like ridiculous nature of what you're doing strikes you. You can't help but like have a little chuckle to yourself.
The lion lay down with the lamb. Green jelly.
And as the rest of you look at this pink jelly, you'll also start to feel this sort of slight sense of merriment. It's not like it's controlling you or anything, but just sort of looking at it inspires like feelings of like good humour, and you see the funny side of things. You're probably not affected that much, Jackdaw, I'll be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Can I light a torch and just see if there's a little bit on the ground beside me, how it reacts to flame?
Yep, you light a torch, you touch it to the jelly, your torch goes and fizzles out.
Okay. And how big is the piece of metal in the centre of the crater?
Well, you can only see you can tell from the shadow there's obviously more of it under this layer of jelly, but the bit you can see, it's roughly spherical. It's probably about 10 foot sort of diameter.
Okay. And there's a few people scattered as well, is there?
Indeed, there are a number of villagers around, and I'll roll to tell you how many. There are 2 villagers there.
Okay.
And they got like buckets and stuff.
Yeah, they basically appear to have gathered whatever sort of containers they can. So there's pots and pans, or wicker baskets, cooking pots, and they're just sort of filling them all up. You can see some of the cooking pots and that have got ropes over them, so they're probably going to carry it back.
Well, they can't get enough of this stuff, can they? They're losing their bloody minds. Crazy old country bumpkins.
As you're as Big Mick's saying that, and you're sort of peering in at the crater fry, you can see that you can literally, if you imagine that this bit of metal is roughly spherical, you're literally just seeing the very top of it poking up, looking down at the sort of shadow, which, because this pink jelly is sort of translucent, you can't see very deep, but you can see from the shadow that this thing's a lot bigger under the surface.
Okay. So I'll grab the nearest person and ask them, does the jelly regenerate every day?
You grab hold of one of these villagers who sort of turns around with a bit of a dreamy smile on their face and say, "Oh yes, isn't it wonderful? We were starving, but now we send people down here every day to collect the god's bounty. Our village is saved. Praise Gale, praise Gale." And the other, you hear the other villagers sort of a short distance off being like, "Indeed, praise Gale, we are saved."
Somebody ought to tell them to stop mentioning Gale, or the friar's going to get right upset. He's already had a bad day. This could push him over the edge.
Okay, so
I can hear the sermon now. This ain't the work of Gale, he's going to say.
Too angry to speak.
As you're a short distance off Jackdaw, and you're not really paying that much attention to the conversation with the villagers. As you watch, you see a rabbit, or perhaps it's a hare, sort of hops out of the nearby sort of underbrush, and you can see that in its mouth it has a small chunk of black metal. It hops up to the edge of this crater and drops the metal into the crater. There's just a little bloom, and it sinks.
I will go into the bush.
Okay.
I'll take out my newly fashioned shark-tooth club.
Mm-hmm.
I will poke around in the bush, looking for where the rabbit might have gotten the metal.
Okay, that is absolutely fine. Okay, so can you please roll me a D20 and a D8?
Sorry, was that a D8?
A D20 and a D8.
D20 and a D8, okay. Okay, 15 and a 5.
Okay, lovely. Okay, so as you're wandering through the underbrush, you range you've not really found anything, so you've ranged a bit sort of further. As you're wandering through, you come across what appears to be a small, a very, very small, crater. And in that you see there's a smaller pool of this pink goo, and resting, fizzing and hissing at the centre of it is a chunk of this strange black metal.
So it's is the goo fizzing, or is the rock?
Metal seems to be hissing.
So
and
it's
fizzing.
steaming. The metal
Indeed.
is steaming.
And as you're looking at it, you can see that whereas at a distance it looked to be entirely sort of like black in colour, now you're up closer and you're looking at it, you see there's like weird sort of striations of gold and thin veins of other colours that are sort of like shot through the metal.
I'll take some like dirt and grass and just like toss it onto a bit of the rock just to see what happens.
It lands on the rock.
Yeah, it doesn't start sizzling.
What happens?
Okay. Okay, I will get back to the group.
Okay.
So I'll get the fryer. So there's a piece of what seems to be steaming metal over yonder in a smaller pit, and there's the goo as well, and there's wildlife picking pieces of this rock and going there, and I point where the rabbit put the metal chunk.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it says that they're taking the metal there, and he points to the big crater.
Okay. Can you show me where it is so I can have a look at it?
Yep. So I'll lead whoever wants to tag along to the not at all meteorite from
Indeed.
space.
So Jackdaw leads you into this sort of area of like sort of underbrush, and you indeed see this small crater with this much smaller fragment of the black rock in it.
Okay.
It's sort of fizzing and hissing, and it's surrounded by this rose pink goo.
Okay. So, I'd like to cast 2 spells.
Okay.
The first is a detect evil, and the second is a detect magic to see if either one pops.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay.
You need to get yourself a tricorder.
You cast detect evil. No evil radiates from the metal. However, when you cast detect magic, the force of what you detect literally like knocks you off your feet.
Okay. Okay. And do I get any sense of what kind of magic it is? No. Is that how this works?
No, it feels wrong, like it shouldn't be here, but it feels strange. It's like nothing you've ever sensed before. All the magic you've sensed previously has a sort of has a familiar sort of resonance to it, regardless of what kind of magic it is. However, this feels like it comes from somewhere else, somewhere where like magic's different entirely. And like I say, as you sort of hold your hand out and you concentrate, the force coming from this metal, there's a little bit of a sort of arcane glow to the jelly that's around it, but as you focus on the metal, the force of this arcane energy knocks you off your feet.
Okay. And how big is the shard?
It's about fist size.
Okay. So I have a sack. So what I would like to do is kind of using the outside of the sack is to kind of lift the shard up on the inside of the sack without actually touching the shard myself with my hands.
Yeah, that's
See how
fine.
that goes.
You now have a shard of star metal.
Okay. And now that I have picked it up,
Actually, but one thing you do notice about it as you pick it up is it seems like extremely heavy. Like I say, it's only like a fist-sized item, but like, as you pick it up in your satchel, you're struggling to pick it up. It feels like it weighs many times its actual size.
okay. And now that I've picked it up, what's happened to the goo that was on the ground?
The goo that was on the ground remains there.
Okay. And if I open the sack and look in at the shard, is it generating goo or?
It doesn't seem to be.
Okay. Okay. So this is all super weird. So I'll put the shard in my backpack.
Okay.
Hope it doesn't generate too much goo. And okay, so it is magic. It's not evil. Okay, so this piece at least won't go back in with the rest. But obviously,
Unless it drags you there, Friar.
or someone steals it. Okay. But it feels like it's definitely controlling the rabbits to make them drop in there.
That is not ordinary rabbit behaviour, is it?
No, it's not.
There's a certain weirdness that has befell Drigbolton, I suspect.
I wonder where that damn drone got to. He was supposed to know this. So I think then there's probably not a whole pile else here we can find, and we should maybe just...
Yes.
Unless we want to try and pull the shard out, but it feels like it's...
What, that big thing?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Lieutenant, as the Friar and Big Mick are talking, you've noticed that like a wet patch has appeared on the Friar's backpack. Like something's like soaking through it from the inside.
Friar. Yeah. The pack. It appears to be leaking.
Okay.
Step away.
So I guess I'll look in my backpack and pull out my sack and open it and see how much goo there's in it.
Okay, you open it and you see there's like a thin sort of like layer of this rose pink goo that's obviously somehow appeared around this star metal shard, and it started to like soak through your backpack.
Okay. So I will carry the shard, carry the sack in my hand, and okay. So now we do know that the shard generates the goo. Excuse me. So should we go and check out the village?
Just to let you know, by the way, again, it's just gone dusk by the time this is happening, so it's just starting to get dark.
Yeah, we should go to the village.
Find somewhere to stay.
Yeah. Find some shelter and see what else has been going on, perhaps.
Does this goo appear to be leaving a trail behind us? They're not being followed by animals.
So what, roll me a d6, Lieutenant.
A bear appears. Oh no!
Oh dear. There we go.
Oh dear.
6 bears.
6 is good, isn't it?
And indeed, you are correct. As you start heading towards the village, a bear pads out of the woodlands and starts sort of like, not rearing up, not doing anything ferocious. It starts padding over towards you all.
Sniffing your sack.
We appear to have...
There's something in that metal that seems to attract animals.
As it gets closer, it starts like with its muzzle, like nudging the sack that the Friar's holding, and it starts like licking at some of like the goo that's started to soak through.
Looks like you've got a friend there, Friar.
Yeah, so it does.
John, I am spending roughly 18 seconds strategically looking at the bear.
Okay, Friar Dunson, can you make me a dex roll, please?
A dex roll. Okay. Ooh.
Okay, so as you're watching, the bear doesn't harm you at all, but suddenly it just like grabs the sack out of your hand and it starts wandering with it in its mouth, starts wandering towards the crater. It's not moving quickly, it's just like padding over there with this sack hanging out of its mouth.
Okay.
you see it sort of starts reaching like the lip of the crater, starts sort of like padding up to it. And you can see it sort of going. Obviously, getting ready to drop the sack into the crater.
So I guess I don't know what else I'm going to do with this shard and whether I need it badly enough to start fighting with the locals.
Well, you've got a few seconds to decide because this bear's getting ready to drop it.
I think I'll just leave him at it.
Okay, so the bear drops it into the goo and there's a boom as it disappears below the surface.
Okay.
Then the bear just sort of lies down next to the crater and starts like licking some of this goo from the surrounding grassland.
I think you're better off without it, Fryer, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think
That's
so.
making an awful mess of your pack and
Yeah.
bringing out bears from the woods and stuff. It's not going to end well, was it?
No, it wasn't.
You don't want to have a bear behind.
No.
But
Anyway, let us find somewhere to rest. We can explore the rest of this.
okay, so are you continuing across the bridge to Drigbolton?
I think so, unless anyone wants to do something else.
Yes. In good spirit.
Sorry, say again, Lieutenant. You broke up like that.
No, I was saying I'll stroll across in good spirits. The pink stuff has lifted my spirits.
Splendid. Okay. So let me just put a party token.
He's even dropping vaguely smutty jokes.
Okay, so you start making your way into the... Well, it's barely even a village. It's more a sort of hamlet, to be honest. There's literally a smattering of buildings. There's a few fields dotted about. It's a cluster of cottages amongst a small division of pasture. There's a wooden cone-roof church standing on a hill to the north of the hamlet, and a watermill sits by the river to the east. Many of the buildings are bedecked with coloured gaudy strips of cloth and flags in the similar way to the shrine. You can see a few people wandering about.
These gaudy cloths and strips, this seems a little bit... I can understand it on the shrine, but on all the houses and that, I know like holy wells and things. And
It basically
seems a little bit OTT.
It looks as though you might have like wandered into the middle of some sort of like village celebration. You know, everywhere's
Like a
bedecked with
fete.
flags. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that sort of thing. And everyone you see walking around has like a big smile on their face.
Okay, right. So they're in sort of a perpetual celebration.
You've just passed the mill, the water wheel, which is there.
Oh, I think I need to zoom out. Oh yeah, all right, I see it now.
And as I said, there's a church.
Is the mill running, John? Is the mill running?
The water wheel is running, yeah.
Yeah.
It's turning as this small sort of like... It's not really a river, it's like a stream is flowing past it.
Fluid's piss.
Indeed.
Charming.
Some name for a river, alright.
As you're
I
sort
think
of...
I'll be skipping on the local brew this evening, and
As you sort of wandered over the bridge, you see a sort of farmer-looking guy with like a straw hat on. He's got like an empty wicker basket under his arm. He appears to be like heading the opposite way you're going. He nods at you and he's like, "Morning."
is he chewing a bit of
Yeah, he's
weed
got
straw?
a bit of grass coming out of his mouth.
Tell me, good sir, is there anywhere nearby we could stay for the night?
He says, "Well, sorry, we don't get many travellers come to Drigbolton, I'm afraid."
No wonder, is it?
He says, "Well, I suppose the miller might put you up." He says, "We've got a small tavern, the King Deer." He says, "Just follow the road down a ways. It's the first building you'll come to."
Okay.
As I'm sure old Frey will put you up there.
All right. Off to get your jelly.
He says, that's right, I'm going to collect some of that glorious manna from heaven. Gale's blessing be praised to you.
It's only a matter of time. Poor misguided fools.
There's only 30 of them in the village, right? So, like, that's... It's hardly even murder, right? Because it's like they deserve it.
Oh no, it's getting all militant.
And tell me, is there anyone in the village who doesn't partake? Or is it a thing that everyone is...
He says, well no, everyone's keen to partake of the blessings of Gale. I mean, we with the bad winter, we were all starving up until we were delivered.
Okay. You were delivered by
Gale, that's right. Gale's blessings upon all of you. And 1,000 times blessings on you. Well, welcome to Drigbolton, travellers.
What happened with your farming then? What happened with your crop?
He says, well, it was the blight last winter. And we barely had enough to feed ourselves. And, we all prayed for deliverance, and Gale has delivered us.
At which point
now no one needs no hunger in Drigbolton. No one's starving. No children need fear and empty belly. Even the beasts, the animals that have preyed upon our flocks and caused us such trouble. Yeah, thanks to the blessings of Gale, even they no longer cause us a problem. We've been delivered. Praise Gale. Praise Gale.
It's painful. It's painful. Even I'm finding it painful.
Praise Gale.
Indeed, praise Gale.
Hallelujah.
Storing up trouble for themselves.
I will give Mick the look of like, oh yeah, we might need to get to work with these folks.
Oh dear.
The misguided, we should call them from now on.
Well, where are we gonna go? Do you wanna try the mill or the typical tavern type?
I think the tavern gives us more opportunities for information.
Rumours. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously night's gathering apace now, because it was just gone dusk when you got here. Which is a bit weird actually, because that villager said good morning to you when you bumped into him. But
yeah, well that ain't weird.
Yeah, it's not the weirdest thing you've seen. But you head over to this tavern. It's a small, cosy looking little place. Very small, because it's like a small hamlet. There's like 3 round tables and probably enough chairs for maybe 15 people in this tavern. Behind the bar there's some like goat horns on the wall and stuff like that. Stairs going up to a small second level. The proprietor is a tall, elegant, middle-aged woman, and you assume her husband, a thick-set, red-haired man, and they've got a couple of like, you're introduced to their sons who are sort of like young adulthood themselves. There's a few locals in there, sort of laughing. They're all eating bowlfuls of this pink goo. They're all drinking like flagons of ale. As you walk in, like a few of them sort of like, evening.
At least they're not as mad as the farmer. They got their time right.
The elegant looking woman drifts over to you. She's got quite a thin, sort of pointed chinned face, and she says, "Oh, welcome to the King Deer."
You must be Frey.
That's right. I'm Frey, the
We've
proprietor.
heard all about you.
Oh, nothing bad, I hope.
No.
Well, these are my sons, Wiggle, Bragg, and that strapping fellow over there is my husband, Limber. And they all sort of nod and smile as she introduces them. What can we do for you?
We was looking for some accommodation, weren't we, Friar?
Yes, a place to stay for the night.
Well, if you want to use the shared communal room, that's 15 coppers for the evening. We've only got a couple of upstairs rooms. We don't see many people out this far. But the private rooms, they're not taken at the minute. They're 4 silver pieces a night.
Have you got 5, 6, 7, 3, many?
I'm sorry?
How many rooms have you got?
We've got 2 private rooms and there's the communal room.
Okay. So we'll take all the 2 private rooms and the communal room.
Oh, okay. That's 10 silver shillings. But, you know, I can see you're a man of the cloth. We'll call it 8 silver shillings for you.
Thank you very much.
Praise Gale.
Oh, indeed, praise Gale.
Your day's looking up. Your day's looking up.
Would you care for a mug of crabber?
What is crabber?
Crabber, it's the local brew.
No, I don't think
Not so
so.
much.
Or if you're hungry, we can. We've got simple fare, but
I believe we have been living off of the Holy Spirit for quite a while, and our oath holds us to that for the foreseeable future.
Well, I wouldn't wish to challenge your oath. We're all good followers of Gale in Drigbolton.
Yes.
Just
praise
ask.
Gale.
Oh, indeed, praise Gale.
Yeah, I'm fasting myself.
Yeah, me too.
I'm on a strictly no jelly diet.
She takes the money off you and says, "Well, straight up the stairs. There's either side of the landing are the 2 rooms. It's simple straw bed. I'm afraid nothing fancy, but they're yours for the evening. Please make yourself at home. If you need anything, do not hesitate to ask."
Oh, you're very kind. Thank you.
Oh, not at all, not at all. It's so rare we get outsiders come into Drigbolton. It's nice to see some new faces. And she smiles broadly.
She don't seem quite so dope as these others. What is that? No. I'm gonna just find somewhere to sit down, make a bit of a drama of like rubbing my legs and that, and like I need to have a little sit down.
You sit down next to a villager and he's rubbing your legs. He sort of lowers his tank and he looks at you and he's like, "Oh, good flagon of crabber would sort you out, fella."
What is that old crabber then? This local brew.
He's like, "Oh." He's like, "Here you go, have a sip," and he puts his flagon down in front of you, and you can see there's this pale pink ale
No, you fucked that.
in the flagon. He's like, "Oh, good for what ails you. If it's good enough for Gale, it's good enough for me."
Yeah, no, afraid I never touch the stuff, I'm afraid.
Well, it's your loss, and he takes it back and like,
Yeah, the friar wouldn't approve.
oh, bit strict, is he?
Oh,
He says, well, fella, it's your loss. I don't say you can turn down Gale's bounty himself, but I'll drink one for you. And he smiles.
Yeah. So your good health.
And yours, sir, and yours. Blessings of the gods on you, sir.
Likewise. So you've been drinking in here a long while, have you?
He says, "Oh yeah, I come in here quite regular." He
Is
says,
it
"Well,
always?
it's nice to see the place open. I mean, with the famine and the rot recently, I didn't think this place had opened again. But look at it now. Everyone's laughing. Everyone's having a good time. It's like the life's just flowed back into the village." So Oh, I never thought I'd live to see the day when there'd be laughing, smiling faces out on the streets of Drigbolton. And now look at it. And so someone over the other end of the room goes, right you are there. God be praised. And he sort of waves his mug and he's like, yeah, and to you, Frank, and to you.
What are you guys doing? Are you still down there as well, or what?
I've probably gone straight upstairs to one of the private rooms because the next person who may just get on my breast is getting.
The friar's like, but this shit I'm out.
Rubbing his laying in a darkened room.
Yeah, outside it's just muffled yells of praise girl, praise girl.
You can hear him. You can hear his footsteps as he's pacing up and down his room, going, "Oh, I swear to God, the next man who says praise God, I'll wring his neck. So help me."
Yeah.
So help me, get. Oh, come on! Now I'm doing it.
I'll take his confession and something more.
Okay, so is anyone else doing anything during the evening, or?
Are they all drinking this stuff?
Yeah, they're all drinking. The people you don't see drinking are eating porridge and gruel, but everything they're eating has dollops of this pink goo on it, and they're
But I don't at any point see Frey. It is Frey, not Frey.
Frey. That's right.
I don't see her touch none of this stuff.
You don't see her drinking or eating while she's on duty.
No, but not even they go, "Oh, have one for yourself" or anything like that.
You do see a couple of people say that, and she's like, "Oh, I might have one later, but as a good hostess, I've got my priority has to be looking after everyone who's under my walls."
And what about her sons and the old man? Did they see?
Oh yeah, they're getting involved.
Oh,
they're drinking and eating merrily because no one's causing any trouble or anything, so. They're just why not? We'll have a drink. We'll have something to eat. Whereas she's like, I need to make sure everyone's all right, and then maybe I'll relax a bit later on. But can make sure everyone else is all right first.
So basically, she's the only person who seems to have any savvy around here.
Pretty much everyone else has this slightly dreamy expression. They're all praising Gale and chinking their mugs together and eating and being like, everything's great. And she's just stood there sort of smiling, sort of oh yeah, oh yeah, have a seat, sort of looking after people.
Okay, right. That's a bit weird, isn't it? Where are you? So if the fire's upstairs, is Jackdaw and the lieutenant gone up or still down?
I'll still be down.
I'd be in a room.
All right, I'm gonna nudge the lieutenant then and sort of go yeah. I notice the host is not getting jellied up.
Jellied up. I'm using that phrase going forward.
Mm-hmm. Get jelly with it.
I don't think you're ready for this jelly.
Do you think? I think that's a bit. Do you think that's a bit odd? I mean, they're all,
Yeah. Well, what do you make of it then? Do you want to ask her?
Lieutenant,
I don't know.
Lieutenant, can you please roll me a D10?
Okay. Would you like jelly with that? Jelly on your D10, sir? 10. 10T.
Okay.
Oh, it's a 4.
So, as you're sort of hearing various snatches of conversation as you and Big Mick are talking, and you hear one of the villagers say, "Oh, look, the way I heard it, Headman Unwick heard it from a travelling linen seller that the Oath House is empty at the minute. Said he knocked at the door, didn't get an answer." It's weird, isn't it? I mean, the lad and old Godfrey, his servant, well, they're never away. It's a bit weird, isn't it? There's And the other person he's talking to was like, nah, don't worry about it, they're fine. He's probably just involved in one of his projects. They've lost track of time. I'm sure it's nothing to worry about. Let's have another drink. And he's like, yeah, you're probably right.
The laird and his manservant have gone missing.
Perhaps they've gone missing. All they know is that apparently a travelling linen seller knocked on the door of the oath house where they reside and got no answer, which is a bit weird because they're never away, obviously being the laird of the area. But the villagers sort of quickly brush it aside with they don't want to let it spoil their mood. They're getting jellied up.
I suppose the laird might have gone out for a spot of grouse hunting or something like that.
I was wondering whether he'd take his palanquin and his slaves with him. But it's too much of a coincidence.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a stretch, that one.
Okay, so do you guys want to do anything else during the evening?
Could we just ask some people who was the first one to discover the manna from heaven? Praise Gale.
Praise Gale, indeed. Okay, so you ask a number of different villagers, but you basically find out that sort of the week before, you roughly estimate it would have been the week before you guys arrived in Emerald, that a light in the sky was seen, and then the earth rumbled for several hours afterwards. They saw small sort of what they refer to as stars falling from the sky, and then there was this loud crashing noise. The morning afterwards, they went out and discovered the crater on Bolton Moor, and the pools of pink jelly, manna from heaven as they call it, were discovered. One of the villagers observed some of the animals eating some of this jelly and thought, well, obviously it can't be poisonous because animals are eating it, they seem fine. Tried some of it himself, found it very nourishing, found that it assuaged his hunger because I said they were starving in the village. He told some more villagers, they told other villagers, and pretty soon the whole village was travelling down to the crater and gathering this manna from heaven.
Wow. Sort of the height of stupidity, really, isn't it? But if you're starving, you can understand it.
And you've picked up, because like I say, you've been chatting to the villagers over the course of the evening, you've picked up that they were literally sort of on the very edge of the whole village, pretty much starving to death, mothers were having to choose which of their children they were going to feed with their scant resources. The blight that had affected their crops and the harsh winters had pretty much ruined it all. They had nothing there. They were almost down to boiling their shoe leather to try and eat that. Mm. And then in response to their prayers, they were delivered.
Praise Gale.
Yeah.
Praise God.
Yeah, praise God.
Indeed.
In fact, Friday and Silly, you're sort of trying to get to sleep. Pretty much, you can hear the hubbub of conversation from downstairs, and pretty much all you can hear is praise God, praise God, God be praised.
Somebody is going to die.
Oh dear. I think maybe we should turn in for the evening, Lieutenant. Unless.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Sounds good.
you all turn in for the evening. Jackdaw, can you please roll me a d4?
I would just like to state that whatever room I'm in, when everyone who's supposed to be in there, I will go to sleep after that, having put several of my knives at the top of the door, so the door is closed. Put the knives in there as I close them, so if it opens, the knives fall out on the ground.
Absolutely fine.
As a dinky alarm system, because I don't get down with these guys. So yeah,
Lovely.
a D4.
Yep.
That's
Perhaps
a
I
three.
shouldn't have asked for that wake-up call.
Okay, so during the evening, Jackdaw, you wake up with a start. You're not sure what's woken you up, but you can hear the soft sounds of your companions sort of snoring away. And you sort of get up, you have a bit of a walk round, stretch your legs, etc. And you're walking past the window, and as you look out, you can see a load of villagers stood in the street, and they've all got big smiles on their faces, and they're all just like looking up into the night skylight.
Mm-hmm. Right. And they're not moving at all?
Now they're just staring upwards with these like shit-eating grins on their faces, the moonlight illuminating their smiling faces.
I am going to get my elven cloak.
Okay.
I will get some implements of murder, and I will retrieve the knife alarm system,
Okay.
TM. And my attempt is here to sneak out outside our current establishment.
Yeah, I'm not even going to make a roll for that.
Yep.
That's fine.
So I'll presumably it's not a great hurdle to like get on top of a roof around here.
Easy.
Yeah. So I'll perch there, try to do my best to be as unremarkable as I can with the cloak and everything. So if anyone's active, I would like to make a note of like what those persons might be. And if everyone is just standing around, I will keep watch for a time and then conclude that, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, they're all just stood around looking up into the air with this dreamy smile on their face. They stay like that for about 15 minutes, and then dreamily they all start to like drift back to their cottages and the tavern and stuff like that as though nothing had happened.
Okay. Did they all like stare at like a particular direction?
No, they're all just looking up into the air, like where they were stood, like directly straight up.
Just generally like wherever they were, they're looking up. Okay. Huh. And I can't spot anyone who seems to be more lucid than the others.
No.
Okay. I will stealth my way back in, engage the knife alarm, and get back to sleep.
Okay, absolutely fine. So you all start waking up in the morning. You can hear the sounds of the villagers sort of getting ready for their day's work, sort of getting ready. You see lots of them like walking through the centre of Drigbolton, like carrying these different containers, obviously planning to go and collect their manna from heaven.
Yeah, so I'll let folks know in the morning that they had this epiphany in the evening, staring at the sky.
Yeah, so Jackdaw tells you around about midnight all the villagers are out on the streets sort of gazing up into the air with big smiles on their faces.
What were they looking at then?
As far as I can tell, nothing.
Just staring up at the sky
Yeah.
like a bunch of loons.
Yes. Which, to be fair, is exactly what they are. So.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if there was a particular celestial configuration they were interested in because they were just standing around.
You didn't notice if the landlady was out there, did you?
No, not particularly. But no one was. They were all under the spell. There was no
Yeah.
one with their wits about them.
Yeah, I don't reckon she would have been there. I don't know whether to ask her about the jelly and why she don't eat it.
I think we should. It would be interesting to see what her response is.
The
I
only
can
thing,
go bag her, bring her up if you want.
well, I was just going to ask her, but if there's something a little bit sinister going on, we might not want to sort of let on that we've noticed.
Mm.
You've got to be
Um,
sneaky, like sometimes you've got to be a little bit sneaky.
Should we then perhaps check out the outhouse and the missing laird?
Yeah, check out a few more things, and then if we're still drawing a blank, maybe have a word with her.
It might also be worth speaking to the local priest.
Well, I think we know what he's going to say.
Oh,
But we never know. Maybe he don't. You know, if he's anything like you, he might have sort of thought this is all a bit rum, and he might not be getting jellied up. So,
Okay.
if there is one, if there is even one,
There's certainly a church.
guy, you sniffed that out like a bloodhound, Friar.
I did.
Where's the church, pray tell? Oh, up there, is it?
Yeah.
Over yonder.
Oh, yonder.
Oh, then, yeah. Yeah.
So
fine.
perhaps then, Mick, it would be useful if you went to see the priest and found out whether he was partaking of the jelly.
Oh, you don't think the priest is more your department, no? But I mean, I don't mind. I won't know if he's legit necessarily, though, because you know.
No, but
no offense, you all look a bit the same.
Yeah. I guess my concern is that if he starts with his Praise Gale and the pink goo,
you might get a bit riled up.
Yeah.
And you might feel obliged to shank him.
Yeah.
All right.
So it might be best if.
Yeah, I see what you. I see. Yeah, very clever, very wise.
No.
Very wise, Friar.
Yeah, because it's starting to irritate, and I am concerned for the well-being of all of the villagers.
I can see why you got confiscated into the church now.
So it should be relatively straightforward to work out whether he's drinking the Kool-Aid, as they say,
all right,
or not. And if not, I can then go in and make sure to see how legit he is.
Well, I won't be able to judge straight away. I won't be able to make any hasty snap judgments, because if he's got a big silly grin on his face, that's fairly standard in my experience. So I'll have to look for some more definite evidence.
Okay.
Okay, so who's heading to the church?
Well,
I'm going to go, but I'm going to wait outside.
All right, I'm all right.
Yeah, I suppose I would tag along as well.
Okay, so you make your way over to the church. It's a dour single-story structure made out of cedar wood with a conical roof, as you can see on the map.
Yep.
There's an illuminated altar on which a graven image of a saint you recognise as Saint Gretchen Friar Dunstan sort of stares forward. You can see that in front of the statue is what appears to be a large glass jar full of the pale pink jelly.
Oh.
There is an elderly looking pastor sort of stood in there. He's just going around sort of like dusting and like cleaning as he sees. Is it Big Mick going in?
Yeah, because as soon as I sort of poke my head in and I see that bowl of jelly, I like quickly just shut the door and like, you might want to stop there, Friar. Just secure the perimeter whilst I investigate further.
And as a random bit of information for Dunstan, you know that St. Gretchen is the patron saint of goat herders.
Ah.
So, as you sort of shut the door behind you, Big Mick, the elderly pastor walks over to you and he's like, "Oh, good morning to you, son."
Good morning. Morning. Presumably he's got a bit of a goofy grin, has he?
Yeah, he has got a bit of a smile on his face, yeah.
Was there any of the colourful rags draped about at all?
Yeah, there's colourful strips of cloth draped about.
Oh dear, that's not a good sign.
He's like, "And how could I help you today, son?"
I've just come to pay my respects. Dropped into the village here and noticed you'd fallen onto some hard times recently. But
yes, but all that's in the past now. Praise Gale.
Praise Gale.
But if you wish to pray, my son, of course, please feel free.
Yeah, I'll do like a quick nod and mumble something or other, looking over my shoulder to see if he's checking up on me, kind of thing. And as soon as I can kind of stand up again, I'll do that. And so, forgive my lack of education, but what's your saint now? I'm not too familiar with.
Saint Gretchen. Saint Gretchen is the patron saint of goat herders, my child. Way back before this land was settled, it was a hardy breed of goat herders who made this place their home, and then they eventually settled, and this village is the resort.
Oh, right. And do they still keep goats and stuff? Or has that gone by the wayside?
It's not such a... It's not our prime means of sustenance now, but there is still a large goat pasture out on the edge of the village where we still maintain a reasonable herd of goats. Unfortunately, many of them, during the recent hardships, many of them were culled for food, so there's not many of them left now, I'm afraid.
And I hear you're in... Well, before we got here, we did hear a few, more than a few rumours that this territory that you're in is somewhat hazardous.
Well, yes, we did have problems in the past, beast men, wild animals, things like that. But as you can see, this place is a paradise now. The predator lies down with the prey, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that's somewhat of a blessing, I guess.
Oh, indeed. No one here knows hunger anymore, and no one has to fear the beasts of the Dolmen Wood. We couldn't have asked for better, really.
And did you hear anything about the laird? He's a bit quiet up at his...
Well, I did. I was surprised not to see him at our regular service. I did go up to the Oath House. Oh, it must have been a week ago now, and sorry, sometimes my memory's not what it used to be. And I did knock on his door, but I didn't get any answer, so I assume he was out hunting or something similar. And I'm sure he has business, and I didn't want to disturb him, so I came back here.
Right.
Yeah, it was unusual though not to see him at the regular service. I've never known him to miss one before.
And what's he like as a laird? Is he sort of...
Well, a lot of people think he's a tough taskmaster, but well, he was the person who had to make the tough decisions when we had the hardships recently, and it wasn't possible to make popular decisions then. But he made the decisions that were necessary to keep the village going. I mean, we couldn't really ask any more.
Yeah. So, what's you say tough decisions then? What sort of?
Well, yes,
tough decisions.
Well, the goats that you mentioned being one of them. I mean, we used to use them for milk and for various other things besides their meat, but obviously their value as food outweighed that when we were all starving. The laird took it upon himself to divide the food that we had and parcel it out in small amounts, hoping that we could weather the famine and the village would bloom again, and so it has. Is there anything else I can help you with, my child?
No. You've been most hospitable, and I need to catch up with my companions. So it's been a pleasure to meet you, and
likewise.
I'll sling me hook if you don't mind.
Oh, of course.
And I'll toodle off, give him like a little nod, and I'll head out there. Kind of like as soon as the door's shut, I'm like shaking my head. I don't know what's going on here, fellas, but just as well you never went in there, Friar. He is more than jellied up, in my opinion. I'm no expert, but from what I've seen, He's been drinking the as you say, the Kool-Aid, whatever that is. And he was talking about. I asked him about the lead, and there's something a bit funny going on. I think we need to make it a priority to get over there forthwith.
Okay.
It's been like a week since he saw him. Never turned up at church, and apparently he was the man making all the hard decisions during the famine. And there's talk of goats.
Okay.
And I'm thinking of what the lieutenant was saying now about that beast goat guy.
Well, let us go and see the oat house.
Okay, so you ask around a bit in the village, and you're told that the oath house is about 5 miles to the north of Drigbolton. So I'll move you back onto the surrounding area map so you can see that.
Well, do you have to go up there and like swear allegiance or something? Is that why they're calling it the oath house?
Indeed.
All right.
So the oath house is sort of here-ish.
Oh, it's up. It's out. Ooh. Bit isolated up there, fellas.
Yeah.
Yeah, house on the hill.
House on the hill.
Maybe we'll do a bit of hunting on the way as well. See if we can't rustle up some food that's not. Although maybe anything we hunt here is going to be the same, is it?
I think, yeah, it's probably going to be jelly.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be wanting to eat any of them there rabbits.
I have some rations if we need to.
Yeah, I've got some rations if we're running short.
Okay, so are you guys following the road north?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that leads us up into the north. That leads us up to where perhaps there are pale-skinned humans.
Okay, so you follow this dirt road north, which the locals tell you is called Cart Way. You get to a crossroads where there's a strange and ill-looking twisted tree. One road heads uphill and to the east, where you can see a bone-white cliff face. The other continues downhill and southwards along the outer eaves of the dolmen wood. A grey milestone dappled with old blood and bird shit stands hip high near the base of the tree, precisely beneath a rotted noose suspended from the thickest bough of the tree. Weathered etchings on the stone indicate that Drigbolton is 2 miles down the southern road.
That's a bit macabre, isn't it, really? It's a bit... a hanging tree.
Yeah, that's where they normally have them at.
Yeah, crossroads and stuff.
And indeed, as you're sort of looking around, you can see there are signs of a number of shallow graves around the tree.
Are any of them new or recent?
No, they all appear to be fairly old. However, Fry, can you please roll me a d20 and a d8?
And 9 and 5.
Okay. As you're moving across the area, you're surprised when strange, warty black nodules the size of pumpkins erupt from the ground at random.
Sorry, just describe them again.
They are large, warty black nodules, roughly the shape and size of pumpkins.
Okay, so what's a nodule when it's at home?
Well,
Like a bobble.
yeah, basically, yeah. Just imagine it's like a large black pumpkins have like burst out of the ground at random.
Okay. That's not something you see every day.
No, praise Gale.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is take a stick, if there's any sticks floating.
No playing with your sack again.
and try and strike one of these.
Oh, is that wise?
Okay, you strike one of these like warty black pumpkin like growths, and it almost just like goes and like deflates. And as it does so, it emits this horrendous scent like offal rotting in the sun.
Okay. Okay.
Is it around this tree? Around this tree thing, or
Yeah.
yeah? Oof.
And like I say, this pungent smell of like rancid, rotting flesh emanates from them as the friar strikes them with his stick.
Okay.
Oh, that's something to do with that evil tree thing there.
I wonder, was it always evil?
There's some bad juju going on around here.
So what's
Maybe
the plan?
that's. Sorry, go ahead, John.
I was going to say, what's the plan, guys?
I suggest that we keep going to try and get to our destination.
Yeah, I reckon if you bust out that spell you had the other day, I reckon your old frierometer would be right up on max.
Okay, so you make your way past this limestone cliff, and in the distance you can see this large house nestled in a small valley in the chalk downs. A two-chimneyed manor house that you know locally is known as the Oath House. It looks as though it's quite old, but in reasonably good repair. There's like tidily clipped hedges and neat garden borders surrounding it. It has a single central tower as the only architectural feature of note.
Shall we?
Yes.
Okay, at this point, can you all make me a wisdom roll and let me know if you succeed? You need to beat a 15.
I did anyway.
How's everyone else getting on with that roll? Okay, so it's just a lieutenant.
Nah, that's a fail.
Waiting for
Yep.
it to-
Okay, so Fry Dunstan and Lieutenant Uffington, as you're sort of like circling around the cliffs to get nearer to this Oath House, you notice that on the side, like part of the side of the building house collapsed as though some great force was exerted on it, and sprouting almost organically from the northwest portion of the house are what appear to be large orange crystalline growths. Glistening amber crystal extrusions expanding upwards as if they'd grown out of the building.
Well, nobody mentioned this.
As you continue to circle around, you see almost the entire northern western side of the building is covered in these strange growths.
Don't hit them with your stick, Friar.
Yeah, why not? So I'll find the closest one and give it a proper strike.
Yep, you strike it and there's a dull like dung as you hit it. It doesn't really seem to like crack the crystal or anything. However, as you pull your stick back, the stick itself starts writhing and twisting in your hand like it's a serpent,
Okay.
like it's something alive.
So I'll just throw it away.
You throw the stick down and like a serpent it slithers off into the long grass.
Whoa.
Okay. Don't touch the crystals.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Was that real? We've been Is it an illusion?
Let's have a look in the house.
Well, if that was an illusion, that was a good one.
Okay, you start making your way through the gardens towards the house, moving through the neatly trimmed hedges and the low brick walls. You can see the rubble of the partially decimated upper floor of the house is strewn around the gardens. In the centre, a circular paved area has been set with an elaborate marble fountain. Lying in this fountain appears to be a large chunk of this orange crystal, and more crystals are extending from it, sort of growing into the house. That's not the strangest thing that strikes you, however. As you get nearer, you see what first you took to be some extremely beautifully sculpted marble statuary of figures in the classic style. However, as you watch, you see these statues, although they are clearly statues, are moving, and they appear to be copulating with each other in this mad orgy.
Copulating statues. I've seen it all now. How many statues are there?
About 24.
It's quite a bit of activity.
As you watch, you see a female statue with a large pregnant bump of a stomach lying there, suddenly gives birth to a much smaller marble statue of an infant. And as you watch, you can see this infant is like growing to adulthood, literally as you're watching.
Okay.
What?
Okay, so if the crystal made the stick come alive, I wonder did the crystal touch a statue and make the statue come alive?
Well, there's a good chance there's some statues in this garden by the, the fancy appointment of it all.
And does it look like the crystal started in the fountain and went into the house? Or does it look like the crystal started in the house and came out?
It looks as though the crystals, from what you can guess, I mean, you can't tell for certain, started in the fountain, and it's just sort of like moving closer to the fountain. You can see that there's like a dark mass in the centre of the crystalline structures extending from the fountain.
Is it a bit of the star metal? Perhaps.
And
Can we get a bit
Fryer,
closer?
since you're looking, can you make me a wisdom? And Big Mick, since you're getting a bit closer, can you both make me a wisdom save?
I've rolled a 1.
Okay.
12 from me.
Okay, so to Jackdaw and the Lieutenant, Big Mick and the Friar are sort of like, oh, what's that in the fountain? And they're sort of getting a bit closer. Then as they both, their eyes lock on this dark mass in the fountain, their expressions suddenly go vacant, and they're like, and just stop still. And Big Mick, can you please roll me a d6?
A tree.
Okay, so Big Mick and Friar Dunstan appear paralysed, staring down at this fountain.
I'll go get Mick. Rush forward and try and like make Mick fall down, I guess. Is he if I'm like starting to pull him back, is his body locked in? Like, are the muscles tensed up, or is he
No.
Okay, so I will lay him down and I will drag him backwards.
Okay, the instant you sort of avert his gaze from the fountain, he suddenly like snaps back to himself, and he's like fully conscious. So as far as you're aware, Big Mick,
don't get any ideas. What's your game? I had a statue.
No, it's, and I'll grab Mick's head. I will, and presumably the lieutenant is doing something, but I'm like pointing Mick's head and eyes towards what's happening to the friar.
Yeah, so he turns your head and points you at the friar in case Friar Dunstan's that stood there.
Yeah, I'll grab the friar.
Yep, you grab the friar, and likewise, as soon as you avert his gaze from the fountain, he's back in the room.
You're under
that
spell. You are mesmerized, friar. Oh, must be
Okay. That is not good.
Now, Friar and Big Mick, as far as you're concerned, no time passed. So you walked up to the fountain, and the next thing you were being grabbed and like moved around.
Yeah, right. But that's clearly a bit weird.
It is. I have a steel flask. So what I'd like to try and do, if I can, is kind of use it like a mirror and try and look into the fountain without actually looking into the fountain, if that makes sense.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. So, as you peer at the reflection looking into the fountain, you can see that in the centre of this orange crystalline growth is an ovoid, sort of like a sphere, roughly 10 feet in diameter. It's an unearthly shade of pale white, and a soft pink light seems to be emanating from it. As you're looking at it, you can see these weird shifting like fractal patterns in it, and you start to feel like a bit lightheaded and a bit dizzy, but you look away.
Okay. So you said it was 10 foot in diameter?
Uh-huh.
Fuck, okay. And it's kind of white/pink. And is it like the same shade of pink as the pink goo?
Yeah. The sphere itself is like this pearlescent white colour, but there's that pink light coming off it that's a similar colour to the goo.
And does it look similar in shape to the sphere in the black sphere in the crater?
It's a sphere. So roughly similar, yeah, but...
Okay. So I'll just tell the guys then that it looks like it's a white version of the black one that we seen in the crater.
Do you think it comes from there, or is part of it?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess is the fountain damaged where it looks like it might have fallen from the sky, or
It doesn't appear to be, no.
What if someone bought it here after the impact?
yeah, I wonder. And these orange crystals are growing out of it, does it look like, or are they just growing out of the fountain?
It looks like they're growing out of the sphere, yeah.
Okay.
And no sign of the lead. We haven't heard anything or seen any movement beyond copulation of
No.
numerous statues.
Do you want to try and open the door, Mick?
I wonder what you was going to say then. You can do. Give this fountain a wide berth.
Okay, so the door's actually on the other side of the house, so you make your way round. You see cracked granite steps leading up to a tiled porch containing a solid black lacquered set of double doors.
Cracked granite.
Indeed. The door has a polished brass knob and a knocker in the form of a mermaid.
Well, there's something mighty heavy come up these stairs to crack the granite. That's a fact. Because you ain't cracking granite all that easily.
From where you are, you notice that the tower above the main entrance and the right-hand chimney appear to be destroyed, but that there's smoke coming out of the left-hand chimney.
Right. Okay. Well, we want to head towards find a fireplace where that smoke is. Do we want to head in there, guys? It's up the cracked granite stairs to the double doors, then.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Why not?
Okay, you head up to the front door. It appears to be locked.
All right.
Oh, if only we had someone who could open them.
Let me see if I can sort that out. do believe.
Easy. It's not even a particularly good lock, and it's quite old. You're just like get your tools out.
Yeah, I just do it kind of subtle and just make it look like I nudged the door open, jiggled
Indeed.
the handle a bit, and nudged the door open.
You nudge it open, and you can see into a sombre entry hall, cheerlessly clean and sparsely furnished. As you peer in, you can see a couple of doors in the western wall and a door in the eastern wall. From the east, a curious cacophony of bestial bleating and human whimpers can be heard. From the western door, can be heard the crackling of flames and what appears to be a group of male voices debating or arguing. You can't quite hear through the thick door what they're arguing about. A choir of high-pitched singing descends from the landing at the top of an elegant stairway in front of you.
Well, what do you make of that, fellas?
That's unexpected.
Yep, that's not what I was anticipating. There's a lot going on.
Let's see if we can find a fire and the debating males. And see if we can hear more about what they're saying.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you're making your way towards the western door.
I think we'll be in stealth mode if we can.
Yep, that's not a
Sounds
problem.
like there's plenty of background noise, though.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. So I'm just checking where we are on the map. Apologies, guys. Bear with me a sec.
It's alright, no rush.
Yep.
Okay, so as you make your way along the western wall, like I said, there's two doors, one near to you, one a little bit further along, and it's from the further door that you can hear the sound of these raised voices arguing or debating. As you sort of get a bit closer and you sort of listen, you can hear it would appear to be some quite pompous, like male-sounding voices, and you hear a voice go, "Well, of course, none of this would have happened back in my day. No, not at all. Well, you would say that, of course. But, well, we all know what you got up to back in your time. Well, I won't hear anything of that. Why, when I was the lad, we'd have had none of this." And it carries on in a similar vein.
Is it a wooden door, John, is it?
Yeah.
And is there like a
Paintings.
keyhole or
There is a
something
keyhole.
like that? There is.
Yep.
Can I try and look through it and see if I can see what these lairds look like?
Yeah, not a problem. You peer through it and you can see a number of men dressed in sort of quite fanciful regalia, and they appear to be arguing quite animatedly with each other. However, as one of them moves and turns around, you see he's actually entirely two-dimensional.
What?
Yeah, pictures come to life of all the predecessors of the current laird.
Ah, yes.
You hear one of them say, "Well, look, I tell you, this young upstart doesn't know what he's about. He deserves everything he gets." And one of the others says, "Look, listen, we should all rally together as a group. After all, we've got all the experience and the know-how. We should go down to Drigbolton and demand those lazy rustics come and serve us up here at the Oath House. After all, that's what they're supposed to be there for. None of this lollygagging about. Get things back the way they used to be back in the good old days."
You know what I think we should do, gentlemen? Head back to the coast and get a ship back home.
I think I might take possession of that farm and forget all about this adventuring lark. Yeah, I wonder, should we perhaps try and bar this door shut so that these paintings don't bother us?
Should we not see what they know?
As you're sort of saying this over your shoulder and you're still looking through the keyhole, right? You're sort of like moving around trying to get a bit of better look. You notice that there's one person in the room who isn't moving at all, dressed in sort of similar regalia, but as you sort of looking around, he looks like he's three-dimensional, and as you look, you can see he's got his hand like that. He's entirely paralysed, and what appears to be a growth of this orange crystal has come through the wall and has sort of like enveloped his arm, and he's just stood there like...
Okay.
That's probably the actual laird. Is he in fancy clothes and that?
Oh, yeah. In fact,
probably.
everyone in the room's pretty much dressed identically.
Okay. So I will open the door and step in.
Okay, you open the door and you step in. All of these like two-dimensional figures, of which you're in there. You can see there's 12 of them. Sort of turn around to look at you. They're all dressed identically, and you can see like the frames for like portraits on the wall, as the lieutenant suspected, but they're all empty.
Okay. So I'll call out to the first one I see and go, "What happened to the laird?"
It's like, what do you mean by coming in here and demanding what happened to the laird, sir? I am the laird.
What happened to the current laird?
He gestures back at the figure and he's like, well, lollygagging around, not doing a day's hard work. Why, we wouldn't have stood for it back in my day.
Indeed. And was he like this when you first seen him?
Yes, he was just stood there like he's a statue, not doing a hard day's work in his life. That's why we've had to come down and see things are done properly.
Okay, and what have you done properly, pray tell?
He says, well, with my illustrious predecessors, we're just discussing precisely what we're going to do. We're going to march down to Drigbolton. We're going to get those people up here and put them to work, like they should be.
Okay. Let me know how that goes here. And I'll step past them and approach the actual laird.
You should go to step past one of them, like puts out like a two-dimensional arm to like block you, and he's like, what do you mean stepping forward when we've not dismissed you, sir?
So I'll just look at him, and I'll go, I am a warrior of Gale and wielder of the sword of Gale.
He's like, well, I don't give two hoots whether you're Gale him bloody self. We're the lairds of this oath house. We won't have our authority brooked by some Johnny-come-lately who's wandering in here.
There's only one laird of the oath house, and it's not you any longer, nor any of your compatriots.
He's like, seems to be quite taken aback by your bald-faced cheek.
So
as he's saying this, a couple of the other lairds are like snap off chair legs, and he's like, I think we should give this damn interloper a damn good thrashing. See what he thinks of that.
Okay, bring it on, old man.
Okay, and literally you've barely finished saying bring it on, old man, when one of them lashes out with the table leg at you.
Okay, am I really gonna fight paintings?
Yeah.
Okay, what is your AC?
19.
Okay, so the chair leg does strike you, but it just sort of like hits your armour. It doesn't really. There's not really that much force behind it, to be perfectly honest.
Okay.
He's like, I didn't like that, did you? I'll give you a 6 of Gale's best for your cheek.
Okay, at which point I am going to lose it.
They just said Gale one too many times.
It's always going to happen.
And I will draw my sword and I will strike the one who mentioned Gale if I can at all.
Yeah, make an attack roll.
13.
That is hit. Roll your damage.
Oh, ouch. 3 points of damage.
Okay, so your sword strikes this two-dimensional lad, and where it strikes him, there's like a gout of like red paint erupts out of it, and he's like, "Oh, I'm slain! Protect me, brothers!" At which point, like, you hear like the as all the others like snap off chair legs and start like advancing towards you.
Okay.
You need some nitromores or something like that.
I need something. I need something.
Break out the white spirit.
Okay, and pretty much the other 11 of these like two-dimensional lads sort of rush round the fryer and they're like. So I'll make some rolls for that.
Fire is our friend in this matter, I feel.
Do you know what? It'd be easier if I just do it like this.
Jeez.
Okay, so 2 of them have managed to damage you.
Okay.
It's a veritable dice fest.
For a total
On
of
brand.
4 hit points of damage.
Okay.
There's like a couple of, again, there's not that much force behind their blows, but a couple of them just like catch you sharply on bits that aren't protected by armour, sort of almost like driving you back a little bit into the doorway as they're like. You've seen the bit in Shaun of the Dead where they're hitting the zombies. It's like that. You're really not taking that much damage. You're just like, and they're just like, "Oh, go on, brothers, give it to him."
Is the fryer close enough to drag him out and slam the door shut or anything like that?
Oh yeah. It literally just like taking a step into the room and then they will set up on him.
Drag him back and slam the door shut if I can.
But before he does, I'd like to let off a sound burst and get the 11 of them.
Okay, go for it.
So that's 7. Assuming I can get them all, that's 7 points of damage each.
Okay,
And
as your sonorous burst of like church bells rings out, it hits these lads, shredding them like splatters of crimson paint go everywhere. To like the inside of the chamber looks like an abattoir. There's just like crimson like splattered everywhere, but they're reduced to so much shreds of canvas that just drift down to the ground.
Okay.
Oh well.
I feel much better now. So I guess I'll step over the ex-lairds and
Had some
approach
pent up
the-
violence there.
Yeah. It had to come out eventually, right?
Yeah. It was brewing.
So I want to then approach the actual laird. And
Yeah,
see-
he's there with like his hands, his arm encased in this amber crystal.
Okay. And are his eyes moving or
No, he appears entirely paralysed.
okay? And does it look like I could cut off his arm in such a way that it would remove all of the crystal from him?
You'd have to like sever his arm sort of there-ish.
Okay. So I would like to try that.
Oof.
Okay, you don't have to roll to hit. He's paralysed, just roll your damage.
I'm turning away. I don't want to see this.
4 points of damage.
Okay, so you, what weapon are you using to sever his arm?
Sword of Gale.
Okay, you slice down and you sever his arm. The instant you sever his arm and he falls away, it's almost so he's like finishing off a sentence he was saying, and he's like, "And get the rest of my writing in him has got." Ah! And he starts screaming as blood's just like gouting out of his like severed arm.
Okay. At which point I would like to then
He's just like lying on the floor, blood spread out, like ah.
so I'd like to tend to his wounds using my first aid spell and try and stabilize him.
Yeah, you've got a spell first aid. That's fine.
So once he's kind of stabilized, I will apologize profusely, but explain that the crystal had taken him, and ask him, does he know where the crystal came from, or what it is, or what's happened?
I mean, it takes him on, and he's extremely pale. Like, obviously, he's lost blood, etc. And he's like, something crashed into the top of the house. I thought perhaps some sort of evil magic. Myself and my servant Godfrey came in here because this is where this is where part of it had come through the walls. I was just telling Godfrey to go and get my notes and my papers so I could study this further. But then the next minute I was here and this, and he looks down at his severed arm. What the devil's going on?
We don't know. It looks like there is something unearthly in your fountain, and that these crystals, the one that had you trapped, have grown out of it and have damaged your house and have animated your predecessors, and I'll point to the paint and whatnot on the floor. Your statues are copulating and having babies, and yeah. So kind of separate, John, is the fire in the room lighting?
Yeah.
Okay. Does it look like it's been lighting for long? And
yeah, it looks like it's been burning for a little while.
Okay.
It says, have you seen any sign of Godfrey, my manservant?
We haven't yet, but there is sounds from other parts of the house, upstairs and the other end.
He goes to stand up and start saying something, then he sort of like swoons a bit as he's like,
oh.
And he wobbles a bit. Obviously, he's still looking quite pale and a bit weakened.
Perhaps we should bring you outside. The fresh air might help, and I will assist them as best I can to bring him out into the gardens, past the fountain, and away from any of the crystal type stuff.
Yep, you get him outside, and he does seem to. He takes some great lungfuls of air, and he does seem to recover himself somewhat, although obviously he's still quite pale and quite weakened.
And missing an arm.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will tell him to wait here, and that we will try and find Godfrey.
Please do. And he sort of he sits down on like, the patio.
Okay. I'm sorry, John. The sounds. What the upstairs was like? The sirens singing. Was
you got a choir singing upstairs, and then in this other room,
so weird animal sounds and screaming.
Weird animal sounds and some whimpering. I think we need to investigate the whimpering. Sort of like sounded like it might be your man Godfrey.
Okay.
Beset by goats or some shit.
Possessed by goats.
Okay. Cool. So let's do that then.
Okay, so you make your way to the door on the east, and it opens into what appears to be a kitchen with a checkerboard floor, white tiled walls. You can see a great mass of amber extrusions has burst through the back door and windows, consuming the northern half of the room. However, your attention is entirely captivated by what appears to be a seething mound of various meats that is joined together into a huge pile of sausages, black pudding, haunches of meat, chops. Then as you look at this blob of meat extruding tentacles of sausages and offal turns around towards you, and what looks like a sheep's head pushes its way out of the mass, one milky eye rolling towards you, and lets out this as the pile of meat shambles towards you. And that is where we're going to end the session for this evening.
The meat golem.
Thank you very much.
The coast.
Thank you very much for playing, guys. I hope you all enjoyed the session.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, good times. Sausage elemental.
Indeed. Obviously, I'm happy to chat afterwards, but for now, I'm going to end the recording. So, thanks to all my wonderful players and to anyone who's watching this either now or in the future. Take care, and we'll catch you soon.